nearby town of Tavila. That's worrying aid agencies given that a quarter of a million had been in Al Fasher when it fell on Sunday. The RSF and its predecessor, Janjaweed militia, have a long record of crimes against humanity against non Arab populations. The RSF has denied UN reports of mass killings, but admits it's detained one of its militiamen, Abu Lulu, who has been accused of summary executions.
Recapping the top story, the city of Ekurhuleni Disaster Management Emergency Services says it is on high alert after the South African Weather Service issued warnings for severe thunderstorms across large parts of the country, including Gauteng. I'm Ondelambana for SFM News Headlines at 3:30.
Sports this hour, Zwane ruled out of Pirates clash and Mashimbi credits United Front approach for Proteas Women's World Cup final run. More details at 3:30.
I'm Michelle Constant. Join the JSB crew and I every Saturday and Sunday morning between 7 and 10 a.m. We promise to keep you informed and entertained with innovation, culture, cars, travel, life learnings, environment, and of course, your big fat juicy. Small stories, big ideas, massive inspiration. It's the Jet Set Breakfast on SA30.
The National Pulse with Ashraf Garda on SAFM. You're listening to the National Pulse, weekdays 3 to 6 p.m.
This has been a strange, well, today's going to be a strange show because it's very rare, certainly in the last few weeks, that we've had a show without the Madlanga Commission or without the crossing to the parliamentary ad hoc committee. So we have neither today, which means after a long, long time, we literally go to a sense of normality. We also don't have a fireside chat today, so it's going to be lots of reflection on some of the biggest issues that impact us today and have impacted us all throughout the week as well. But I can also just tell you up front, just so you know, and I have to choose my words carefully, so in case you wonder. So today is my last show. You got that, right? Today is my last show for the next 2 weeks. I'll tell you why in a moment.
Clientele is here to safeguard you and your family with compassion because life happens. Be part of a family that truly cares. Our funeral dignity plans have helped South Africans bury their loved ones with dignity for more than 30 years. Let us help you create a meaningful tribute that honors your life and those of your loved ones. We pay out within 24 hours and you will get double accident cover with a clientele funeral plan. Our plans are affordable. Pick the option that suits your needs. Easy to apply, no medical examinations and no paperwork. SMS SAFM to 48031. That's 48031. Clientele Life is an authorized FSP and licensed life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
There's no time to fudge around on the Tastemaster Junior this Tuesday evening at 7:30 on SABC2. After surviving elimination and making it to the top 10, our young chefs pair up to craft colorful gift boxes of fudge from scratch. But will their flavors melt hearts or melt away under pressure? That's the Tastemaster Junior, Tuesday evenings at 7:30. Repeat Wednesdays at 1 and Sundays at 4 p.m. Only on SABC2.
This October month, SFM shines a light on mental health awareness. This month, we bring you conversations that break the stigma, encourage care, and provide strategies to protect your mental well-being. Because it's okay not to be okay, and together, we can build a healthier tomorrow. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. Ashraf Garda on the National Pulse.
Okay, so I did say today is my last show for the next 2 weeks. I'll be away at the One Young World Summit in particular, which takes place in Munich. It starts on Monday night, in fact. So I'll leave on Sunday, which means I'll miss the South Africa versus India World Cup final game. Probably have to follow it while I'm in the plane somewhere along the line. But I'll be back here after 2 weeks, and I'll hopefully tell you all about all of that while I'm going, or maybe even while I'm there. Depends on my production team. They may just give me a call, so we'll do that. Well, my name is Ashraf Gardner. This is the National Pulse. Thank you for joining us as per always. You can engage us 0614 104 107. That's WhatsApp, text, or voice notes. 30 seconds a voice note, please. Or to call in live when we open the lines 086 000 2032. Right. I tell you what, let's start with I think a significant move. We've had the story of South Africa's Afrikaner refugees, and we've had the story of just 3 people taking a flight a few days ago. And now, to pick up on that one, we're now here. There's a group of Afrikaners who effectively doing a not in my name sign up, right? They've penned an open letter, they've signed it, and they've rejected Donald Trump's, Afrikaner refugee resettlement offer, and suggest that they are being used as pawns. So let's find out, who are they? Who do they speak on behalf of? With me, Chris Spiss is a dialogue practitioner. Chris, appreciate your time and thanks for joining us on the National Pulse.
Good afternoon, Ashraf, and good afternoon to the listeners.
Thank you. Why the need to pen an open letter, which in effect means you're talking sort of directly, indirectly to Donald Trump, the American president?
Good question. Just want to clarify that I'm talking on my own behalf as a signatory to this open letter. And also to clarify that we are not picking a fight with other Afrikaners in the country. Our letter was written in the context of what's currently happening in the USA, where race, whiteness is used to privilege a certain category of people, specifically white Afrikaners. If we think that out of the 7,500 refugees that will be allowed into the US this year, 7,000 are white South Africans, not my Afrikaans-speaking brothers and sisters from a different view, but white South Africans. So we are being drawn into internal US politics, and I felt compelled to put my signature to this campaign because it's not in my name, and we don't speak on behalf of anybody else, not on behalf of a group, and we're not an organized group. A couple of individuals who say this is not happening in our name.
Okay, you said a couple. I think it's more than just 2 people, right?
Well, currently it stands like more than 500. We are being referred to as the crazy 44 or the lunatics on the left, but more than 500 people have already signed, and there's a website where people can sign up to this letter.
And I mean, share with us, who are they? Are any of them members of political parties in South Africa? Are they members of union? I'm fishing for everything, like Afrikaners from Solidariteit and others, and AfriForum and other political parties. I mean, give me some names.
Well, it's myself, Professor Lindy Koorts, Barend Legrandsie, Ruda Landman, JP Landman, Judge Pichler, Professor Anton van Niekerk, and 44 others who were the original signatories. As far as I know, Ashraf, and contrary to the accusations that people are leveling at us, I'm not aware of anyone who is affiliated to a political party. Yes, I forgot to also mention Max de Pre and Piet Trouwkamp. And everybody with a little bit of knowledge about what's happening in South Africa would know that all of us have been very critical about what's happening in the country. So we're not doing this as a political move. This is a matter of conscience. It's a matter of countering the narrative of white anxiety. And we don't want to be part of that.
Why don't you want to be part of it? Because I mean, the fact is that there's white anxiety, there's black anxiety, there's colored anxiety.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's anxious about so many different things, right? When you say you want to counter the narrative, I mean, what would be the end goal to that?
Yeah. So why I feel so strongly about this is that it is just unjust. It goes against every norm that we have grown to appreciate. It goes against our values of the Constitution. I cannot face my black and brown and Indian, or whatever you want to call them, fellow South Africans, to say that I as an Afrikaans-speaking Afrikaner, qualify to be privileged as one of the 7,500, but you're not. And it just damages relationships in the country, and I cannot stay silent when people of this country are already watching us carefully and watching Trump carefully, and knows that there is almost like a global movement to isolate whiteness as the thing that matters most. It's not in my name, unfortunately.
Let's talk about the Trump narrative and his advisors, which is that they are there to help Afrikaners, so white Afrikaners, because they are and they effectively need to be given refugee status because, well, for want of a better word, they're being persecuted, they're being prejudiced, they're being sidelined, they're being put on the wayside, they're being terrorized, they're being killed. I can go through every other adjective in town, right? That's the narrative. How do you think that now we know it's not true. That doesn't mean that many of the problems that you and I face outside of color we face it equally, right? But how do you think that you are able to counter that simply by saying, not in my name?
Well, I think we must acknowledge that there are a lot of South Africans who are traumatized across all the communities. And I can understand why some white Afrikaners feel particularly vulnerable and targeted. And no argument will counter that because that's what they believe. And you can point to statistics and you can bring up all kinds of arguments, but people don't change because of arguments. They change because they discover each other's stories, and that we don't have enough of. If you allow me, I just want to tell a little bit about the context in the US currently. I spoke to a US friend of mine 2 days ago who is advocating on behalf of Afghan Christian refugees into the US. They are being targeted by ICE. Their food stamps are being taken away. All their protection as refugees have been taken away. He writes letters to the White House and to people in government. And I asked him, did you get any response? He said, yes. The FBI came to me and said they are being tasked to investigate me whether I am part of a terrorist activity. And he says to me, it's not about anything else than an anxiety that white people will become the minority. So they're okay if white Christians are sent back to Afghanistan where they will be persecuted. And the evangelical Christians are supporting them in this. But then they turn around and they said, no, the Afrikaners are the ones that we need to protect. And here we've got all the freedoms. And I don't minimize the trauma that people are experiencing, but it's nothing in comparison with the DRC and with Sudan and Myanmar and South Sudan and everywhere. And this is just for me a matter of conscience. I can't stay silent, and I don't want one day to look back and people asking me, where were you when this narrative was being elevated most? You stay quiet. I can't.
Now,
It makes me a target. That's it.
All right. So are you being targeted? Because if I heard you correctly, you almost suggested that you are being ridiculed, right? So are you being targeted, ridiculed? I mean, I say you, the collective, and if so, by whom?
I thought it's very interesting. I mean, the sort of vile comments that are coming in our way and questions about where we live and accusations of being. I mean, I don't want to go into all of that. Just to say that we are not picking a fight with anybody. If they stick a label on us, it says more about the people who designed the labels than the ones onto which the labels are being stuck. So that doesn't bother me so much. But it's really distressing to see how the bots and the social media trolls have kicked in. I mean, the first article that appeared in Netwerk 24 drew more than 500 to 600 comments. And I counted, there was one guy that commented 32 times. So it tells you that we have hit a raw nerve. And I don't quite understand why, because we're not angry with Afrikaners. We can be angry with the government. Of course, lots of things are not doing well, but the sort of targeting that's currently coming our way is just, it's actually quite laughable.
All right, let's then talk. I mean, you mentioned trolls and bots, and I mean, I don't know how seriously you'd want to take those trolls and bots anyway, right?
Yeah.
So when I talk about criticism, I mean, look, we're all aware that social media allows people to drum up support
Yeah.
very quickly and mobilize without even thinking. But the
Yeah.
one I'm looking for, are there significant leaders within the Afrikaner community that are critical of your actions? And if so, who are they?
Yeah, of course. I mean, your Flip Base and your Jaco Kleinans of Solidarity and Afri Forum, um, they are very vocal and they appear on many newscasts and they write articles in the media accusing us of supporting the ANC. And now that the ANC has welcomed our statement, it's for them it's proof that we are just condoning everything that is happening, which is completely bull, if I can put it softly.
Mhm. Well, lots more to consider. I'm very interested. Therefore, you said, I mean, the ANC has come up and being supportive. Is there a chance that, as Donald Trump and company may be using Afrikaners as a political pawn for whatever reasons that we don't quite fully understand, that the counter may also happen, that that you may get people who are not Afrikaners in South Africa, part of the mainstream politicians and political parties, who may also
Yeah.
see advantage in this, because clearly you're knocking Donald Trump and you're knocking AfriForum, even if you don't mention them by name, and therefore they may use you as a political pawn to suit their agenda.
Absolutely, and that's not something that we can control. But we can control our viewpoints and our voice, and that's what we've done. If somebody else wants to use us for their own political game, it's up to them. And on the other side, I mean, the more conservative Afrikaners are using us to also up their political game. So we're becoming a free target now on all the sides, and that is quite regrettable. What I would like to see more of is that instead of this contentious debates and confrontational spaces that we're creating, the spaces that I call red spaces, we also need to create green spaces where dialogue is the norm and not the win lose mentality that we see so much in politics. And I think that's quite destructive at the moment, and it's the fundamental flaw in the way we deal with one another in South Africa, because we don't see each other as family, part of the human race. We see each other as people who can easily be pushed into camps and being labeled. And if you don't agree with me, you're an enemy. And I think it's absolutely wrong. I mean, we can differ on many things, but we don't need to be enemies. And that's what's distressing at the moment, that people see us who with our fundamental right to voice an opinion, not talking on anybody.
Okay, I'll tell you what, we're going to conclude in a few minutes, and therefore I invite callers to 086 000 2032. What do you make of these 500 plus Afrikaners who are effectively saying, not in our name, we not for Trump's call to provide a safe haven for these Afrikaner refugees. We certainly not for AfriForum and their position and Solidarity. We are South Africans, white Afrikaner South Africans committed to South Africa. Chatting to Chris Spies, who's a dialogue practitioner, one of the signatories, but speaking in his personal capacity. Because I think outside of political party, jargon and infighting that inevitably occurs anyway, right? I think the fundamental issue for Afrikaners in South Africa, and I'm saying with Afrikaners only for the moment, right, is that they clearly enjoyed, what can I call it, aristocracy status in apartheid South Africa. You know that, right?
Yeah.
And gradually, as the cake had to be shared by a larger amount of people, particularly the disadvantaged, there's a sense that status has diminished over a period of time. So the question to you then is, what is your opinion in broad terms, right, of the standard of living of South African Afrikaners right now versus what they enjoyed, let's say in a period around just 1990? And as you answer that, the next question is, what would you expect in terms of the type of treatment that Afrikaners are receiving in South Africa going forward?
I'm speaking to you as a rehabilitated racist who grew up believing that whites were the best thing next to sliced bread, and it was people who were not white that helped me to change and see the world differently. And it took me some time to realize that I'm really nothing special. I'm just part of the South African society, and I'm just so grateful for just being an ordinary citizen. We had privileges that nobody else had. We got education, we could move where we wanted to, we could buy property, we could travel, we had no restrictions. And for many, many Afrikaners, that's still the case. We have to acknowledge that there are also some Afrikaners who have lost jobs and who are struggling financially. But so do the majority of people in our country. So I think the fact that we're just equalizing the scale and the thermometer is coming back to normal shouldn't be a threat. It should be just a wonderful opportunity to live ourselves out in this country to our full potential and just lock arms with those that are close to us and forge relationships that we see it on every day on the street. We see it in many businesses. We see it on the sports field. We see it everywhere. So we don't need this thing of we are the victims and it's so bad and we need to go to the US. We don't agree with that. It's people's free right to move if they want to, right? And
But you see that
complain, but that's not us.
the question is, how do you explain that to the Afrikaners who have lost that aristocracy status, have moved to the sidelines? I'm not saying everyone, some have. But at the same time, so they won their place in the sun. At the same time, we found, black South Africans who are aggrieved by the numbers of foreign nationals from the African continent who are also here. So in effect, they don't realize it, but they're all fighting for the same space anyway, right? So I asked this question because as South Africa transforms, it does need to transform, right?
Yeah.
Is there a way to transform, but at the same time ensure that those people, like the Afrikaners, and of course other white South Africans, who were the huge beneficiaries of apartheid South Africa, can retain a sense of benefit where they see their place in the South African sun, as opposed to being on the periphery, because every benefit will now go to those who were disadvantaged, even though they deserve the disadvantage, deserve to be benefiting now anyway.
Good question, Ashraf. I think it comes down to attitude. If your attitude is to be a victim, you will always be a victim and nothing will convince you otherwise. If your attitude is that it is what it is, and we love this country and we love one another, and we are willing to really listen first instead of preaching first, and reaching out with the knowledge that the shortest distance between people is a story. And we start hearing the stories of people who have it far worse than us and people who still have the privileges. But we can do that without judgment and without being resentful, but truly connecting and listening. Then I have hope for this country. And we had this kind of thing happening just after 1991 when the peace accord was signed, and I was part of that. And there was a culture of dialogue where we got together and said, in this little town, in this city, we are taking responsibility to make sure that we get through peaceful elections. We hear each other's stories, and we really stuck to it with passion.
Okay.
We've lost that because there's no mechanism currently where dialogue is fostered. The national dialogue won't do it for us. It's up to us to create those spaces.
Okay, here's the last thing then. Interesting you spoke about the national dialogue. My mind goes back to the lobby group and the influence of the Broederbond all those years ago. Now, I take it if I asked you, are you starting a political party down the line? You're going to say no, so we won't even bother about that because you want to be integrated. Having said that, would you see a need for these, let's call it progressive Afrikaners, right? Being able to, if not be part of a political party, because they can vote who they want for whoever they want, but to be part of a group of progressive lobbyists who take the Afrikaner community on the journey closer to the dream of, that united rainbow nation, or maybe to borrow the rugby phrase, a stronger together South Africa.
Are you talking about a bomb squad?
Well, you tell me. Maybe that's what's required. And we have to explain to people who are not following rugby, bomb squad may not mean something what they may think, right?
Yeah, I'm talking about the rugby bomb squad. Ashraf, I think it is important that people who have the courage to say not in our name, just sign the petition, sign the letter, and see how this thing grows organically. I'm personally not interested in in a specific organized or organization. But we cannot allow the only voices in this country to be the ones who are complaining and moaning. And unfortunately, like in the USA, there's a culture of fear growing in South Africa where the backlash is just so much that you rather keep quiet. And the only way to break that is to just come out and speak out, but do it with respect and do it with passion and do it with conviction without wanting to create enemies and blaming other people. I think that will get us nowhere.
Okay, well, you've got us thinking about many, many things. This may spark up a whole debate all through the whole of next week. Chris, please, thanks for your time. Much appreciated. And I think that's the bottom line to it, not just to Afrikaners, but to even you as I talk to you. And you could well be from, somewhere in Cullen for like here, right? But the question is, what does your voice tell you? And how do you ensure that your voice that is committed to South Africa and building what I call it a champion nation, how do you ensure that your voice is being heard, if not individually, then collectively? Hang on to that. Let's get the news headlines. Here's Rondella.
Thank you, Ashraf. For the news headlines, the Department of International Relations says it has taken note of a recent determination by the U.S. administration of President Donald Trump limiting its refugee intake for the current fiscal year to 7,500 people, the vast majority white Afrikaners. The seat of Ekurhuleni Disaster Management Emergency Services says it is on high alert after the South African Weather Service issued warnings for severe thunderstorms across large parts of the country, including Gauteng. And the pre-trial case against 3 men accused of killing activist Loyiso Nkotla has been postponed to the 27th of February in the High Court in Cape Town. A full update follows at the top of the hour.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting off in Gauteng, the M1 southbound in Johannesburg slow moving towards Crown Interchange. The N3 northbound in Bedford View is slow moving on the link to the N12 East at Giluli's Interchange, and the M1 northbound in Melrose has slow moving traffic towards Colette Drive. In KZN, the N3 westbound queuing towards Hammersdale, the N3 westbound as a stationary vehicle near the Pavilion Mall exit queuing traffic, and Umgeni Road westbound slow moving through Springfield Park. In Cape Town, the N2 outbound is slow moving towards Bunga Avenue, the N1 outbound is slow moving on Plattekloof Hill, and Voortrekker Road eastbound slow moving through Maitland. With your traffic update, I'm Irma G.
This is SAFM Sports with Tuming Khapele.
Right, Tumi is not wearing yellow. I'm just making the point. But he will talk about Sundowns.
Well, a very good afternoon to you, Ashraf, and our listeners. Mamelodi Sundowns midfielder Themba Zwane has been ruled out of the upcoming clash against Orlando Pirates tomorrow due to injury. Zwane picked up an injury in the opening stages of the Betway Premiership and made an earlier than expected return. However, suffered a setback in the match against Magezi last month. Meanwhile, the coach has played close cards to his chest when asked to provide an injury update ahead of tomorrow's game.
I confess to you that I have some doubts on the ability of players, but I can tell you the names. Now, look, believe me, I will, and we are trying to. We know that let me tell you another way. We know that when we'll have availability of the players from Sundowns, this will be so strong. But it's not still the moment. As you know, we lost Moreno, for example. Moreno is a very important player for us, not only to manage Godal, but also to reinforce, because he brings extra energy when he enters the pitch. He's a very important attacking player besides being the fullback. He's not available, as you know, we got injured on the national team. And others still didn't have the conditions to be all complete. And when the team will be complete, and let's hope it happens soon, for sure, this team will be even stronger and stronger and stronger. And that's why we want to clean the future, so that when we arrive on the decision-making moments of the season, we can have not only availability, but conditions to create availability. That is very important for us.
Meanwhile, Kaizer Chiefs have been boosted by the return of Glody Lelepo, who is fit and has travelled with the team to face Durban City tonight at Moses Mabhida. Lelepo came off a half-time in a Chiefs 3-1 CAF Confederation Cup win over AS Simba on Sunday at Dobsonville Stadium. Elsewhere, newly appointed Luciano Spalletti says that he believes that Juventus can still challenge for a Serie A title. This is despite sitting 7th on the log. The 66-year-old was appointed coach until the end of the season today. This is following Igor Tudor's dismissal after an 8-match winless streak across all competitions, and Juve are just 6 points adrift of Serie A leaders Napoli. Then in cricket, Proteas woman coach Mandla Mashimbi says that the key to their success at the ICC Women's World Cup has been the unity within the team. The national team will be playing in their first ever senior 50 over World Cup after beating 4-time champions England in the semi-finals, and will now have a chance to make history on Sunday when they take on co-host India in the decider.
When I came into the job, the one thing that I picked up was probably the division that was within the team, not necessarily in a malice way, but I just thought maybe we could be better in making sure that we are more of a united front as a team, and also certain skills with certain players that I felt needed to improve for us to actually come here and become a force.
Meanwhile, Proteas batter David Bedingham has been ruled out for at least the next month after suffering a quadriceps muscle injury. Now, Bedingham was not selected in the Proteas squad for the upcoming Test series in India, and has now been confirmed that the 31-year-old will not play any part in the domestic T20 Challenge competition. Then finally, World Anti-Doping Agency President Witold Banker has called on the United States Anti-Doping Agency to do more to help prevent the enhanced games from taking place. Now, Banker described the enhanced games, which permits competitors to use performance-enhancing substances under medical supervision, as very dangerous and an irresponsible event. Las Vegas is scheduled to host the inaugural enhanced games, consisting of track and field, short course swimming, and weightlifting events in May next year. I'm not sure about the enhanced games. Like, you're
What does
allowed
that
to
mean?
dope. So basically, they are allowed to dope under medical supervision. Like, we're trying to fight against doping as it is in the world.
And if
I
they
know
don't dope, then they get a yellow card.
Do you understand? So now
They
they've
don't, they get a yellow card. Yeah.
now they literally saying, hey, let's have a competition for those that are doping. Why not? Anyway,
Oh my goodness.
I'll have
yeah.
more on other sports in the next hour.
Hi, I'm Komoto KG Mweketi, and I believe in music's ability to connect, to heal, to remind, and to bring joy. And each week on my Saturday and Sunday show Seasons right here on SAFM, I endeavor to do just that. So join the movement of Seasons every Saturday and Sunday, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's addictive. You might invite a friend. Seasons, only on SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide with me, KG Mweketi. Because where words fail, music speaks.
Ashraf Garda on the National Pulse.
Yeah, having a chuckle with Jimmy about the doping games. Can you imagine if in these doping games you get a person who chooses not to dope? What we're going to say? You cheat, you. We can't play with you. You didn't dope, you're a cheat. Just imagine, that's quite crazy. Right, more to come. We're going to cross to Kigali, in fact, shortly. And then there's a fascinating story about the new head of research and innovation at L'Oreal South Africa. I think everybody knows that name, L'Oreal, right? But what we'll do is first time, let's see if we can take some calls. We've got Solly in Cape Town. Hi, Solly.
Hi, Ashraf. How are you?
Yeah, good indeed. Right. What's your point?
No, I want to compliment you, and I want to compliment what was the gentleman that you had on, the Afrikaner?
You're talking, his name is Chris Spies.
Yes, Chris Peace. I want to compliment him because there's many like him, many. You know, I grew up with the Afrikaners for 60 years of my life when I was in Limpopo. I mean, I was there in the bad and the good times now. And at the end of the day, these are enlightened people. They know the light. And they know that they don't have to be refugees. We got the best country in the world. And I know members of his team. I just went on their website and checked it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, these are enlightened people that are better for us. And they all know we live in the best country in the world. And they're not going to give up this country for anything in the world. If you look on what's going on in America, he also told you how the Afghans were brought there, now they're stripped of everything.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have a man running a country now. You got a monster running it. So you don't know where you are, what you are. We are very happy here. We love it. Whether it's Afrikaners, whether it's Jewish, whether it's English, whether it's we all one community and we love our country.
But just quick one, as someone who I know that you know a lot about, South African and global politics, and who's not an Afrikaner, how would you then address the Afrikaners who do believe that they are being sidelined and they don't need Donald Trump to tell them that?
Ashraf, you will remember when we were fighting apartheid and we were part of the UDF at that time. We had our own people that went and joined the tricameral parliament. You're always going to have those few that will have their own opinion. I'm not worried about them. As long as we have the majority that are thinking right, who controls the economy today? Look at the biggest banks, whether it's Capitec, RMB. So it's all controlled by Afrikaners, and they're doing a great job. They run the best banking system in the world. I think they are an asset to our society, and as long as we integrate and get together, people like him will make the difference.
Maybe that keyword is as long as we integrate. Much appreciate your time, Solly in Cape Town. Right, let's talk about what's happened in Kigali in Rwanda next.
You're listening to the National Pulse on SAFM.
So, fascinating developments in Kigali, the 21st Comprehensive Africa Agriculture Development Program. So that's the full name. The acronym would be, CADP, right? The event aims to reinforce Africa's commitment to building inclusive, climate resilient, and nutrition sensitive agricultural systems. Good. What's the plan? How do they do so? Kailitle Kumalo with me, SABC News reporter covering that story. Much appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Ashraf. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon indeed, right? Is this one of those, wish list grand dreams where nothing will materialize, or do you get a sense that actually this is a lot more tangible than we may think?
Well, obviously, Ashraf, it's been such a very long journey. It goes back 20 years ago when the African leaders were meeting in Maputo in Mozambique, where they made a commitment to really change Africa's fortunes when it comes to agriculture. Africa is a fantastically massive continent with swathes of land. And obviously now the approach is about making sure that Africa should benefit from this, especially, it's such an indictment, Ashraf, that you have over 280 million Africans who are still facing hunger. And obviously there are so many factors to these issues around the conflict. You look at the current situation in Sudan and Al-Shafa, where so many Sudanese are caught up in a terrible conflict. So many other factors as well, really just disrupting some of these very noble plans. Climate change as well, Ashraf. As you know, that in some parts of the continent, as you go further up into the western part, you do have the desertification of the other areas. Also, they do have the torrential rains that are causing flooding. So this is quite a very pivotal moment in Kigali, because it's all about just re-energizing this particular plan in terms of really just seeing agriculture as a very key industry in terms of creating jobs and stimulating the African economies.
Okay, so it's in Kigali, but it's not just Rwandans, right? Who's part of that conversation today?
Well, obviously, quite a number of role players here, Ashraf. You had, for example, the African Union Commissioner for Agriculture, Moses Villadati, who opened this particular gathering and really emphasizing that the delegates should come up with tangible solutions, especially because I think there's a bit of a fatigue, especially with these AU platforms, where they meet and gather, a communique comes out, and then thereafter nothing happens. But now you can really tell that there's a sense of commitment from these delegates. You have the farmers, because there's quite a lot that is being spoken about in terms of the importance of nutrition, Ashraf, especially because so many young children in Africa are still stunted and really raising concerns about the plan that Africa is having.
Okay, so tell me more about some of the specific plans. I mean, because there clearly is a wish list, not wish list, and there would be direction based upon that wish list. What is it?
Well, it's a litany of things, Ashraf. I mean, for example, they do talk about promotion of climate resilient agriculture and obviously leading to the improvement of infrastructure. How, for example, the farmers are using their resources as opposed to just relying from the rainfall. What can they do? For example, reducing the food waste and also something that is very important, Ashraf. We know that this is one of the very key flagship programs of the African Union. This is part of dealing with food insecurity in Africa, but also they do talk about boosting intra-Africa trade because these goods must really move, not just be limited to one area, but do away also with some of the barriers, especially in this harsh space, Ashraf, in terms of the geopolitics, but also where the aid has been cut off. So this is a very important time for these farmers, for these policymakers and other key stakeholders to look at the way forward in terms of how can they ensure that there is really stimulation. And also when they meet next year, because I mean, this is a agenda that started in Mozambique, it went all the way to Uganda and Malabo at some point, and they're back in Kigali. And all of them, they've been emphasizing that, you know what, we've been raising these issues. What is key is to turn commitment into action.
How, just the last thing then, in terms of commitment into action, we also have the G20, and we've been talking about many of the things that overlaps in the run-up to G20 in terms of the things you've said. Do you get a sense there's a plug into that as well? Because the one thing is G20, and then what happens after that? Because it's almost upon us.
Well, that's right, Ashraf, because when you look at South Africa's G20 priorities, they do talk about the issues of food security. I mean, recently we saw the agriculture ministers meeting in South Africa and also talk about the issue of just addressing these concerns. I think obviously it's going to be a very monumental task in terms of really sustaining the momentum. We know that after South Africa, the US will take over the G20. The priorities may change altogether, especially with the current administration that you have in Washington, D.C. But I think there's a very clear understanding. We've been speaking to these delegates here in Kigali from Tuesday at least, and a lot of them, they do talk about a number of issues. For example, the involvement of the women in terms of the issues of financing, where the farmers in Africa, or some of the challenges that they are facing.
And let's just talk about that, because I mean the point of this gender inclusive resilience, one thing is again the wish list of gender inclusivity. Do you get a sense that that is on track?
Well, obviously, I think there's still quite a long way to go, but you do have some representatives. I mean, they're coming from South Africa. We had an opportunity to engage with them, and they were talking about some of their challenges, for example, that they do face in South Africa when it comes to the opportunities, when it comes to financing, for example, some of the hurdles and the impediments that they face, but very appreciative of such platforms where they do come together, collaborate and forge the partnerships with their counterparts from the continent, but also just realizing that this is such a very big scope when it comes to agriculture, because you have these layers from production all the way to agro-processing, but also talk about the issues of what type of food are you eating? Is it nutritious food? Are you able to benefit extensively from that? So it's been such a very invigorating, a very enlightening sessions hearing from the delegate.
All right, let's leave it at that. The word enlightening or enlightenment is maybe the way we all want to end. Kailitle Khumalo, SABC News reporter, covering that event, the CAADP, C-A-A-D-P, CAADP event in Kigali in Rwanda. Let's talk about L'Oreal South Africa.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable. You receive up to 745,000 rand worth of legal services per year. Our range of plans include cover for you, your spouse, children, and extended family. Plans include cover for civil, criminal, and labor-related matters. Whether it's protection orders, gender-based violence, uncontested divorce, or poor service, your Clientele Legal lawyer will be there to assist you. Our services are convenient, Simply pick up the phone and call your lawyer or send us an email and we'll get back to you. All plans include a bail benefit of up to 5,000 Rand and we'll go to the police station and pay it for you. Plus, Clientele Legal offers you 24-hour telephonic legal advice. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
48 nations, one dream.
The FIFA Under-17 World Cup hits Qatar and Mzansi's Amajimbos are in the fight.
It's game on everywhere. From 3 to 27 November, catch the action live on SABC Plus, SABC Radio, and SABC TV.
Download SABC Plus now. Stream, listen, watch.
SABC Sport, for the love of the game.
You're listening to the National Pulse on SAFM. SAFM.
Lots of people commenting about the conversation I had with Chris Spies. We'll try and take further comments via live calls or WhatsApp voice notes or text messages or tweets as soon as I can. If you are tweeting, by the way, hashtag the National Pulse. Now, we haven't done this for a while because of the various commissions we had to cross to, but we can do it today in the feature we call Winning. And Angelina Bognunu has been named the new director for L'Oréal South Africa's Research and Innovation Hub. So understand this is a bit of a milestone. It certainly marks a significant movement or moment really for leadership diversity within L'Oréal's global RNA Research and Innovation Network. So let's chat then to Angelina Bognunu, the L'Oréal South Africa's new director or hub director for the Research and Innovation Hub. Thank you for your time.
Hello, nice to meet you. For me, it's the first time that I'm doing that, so I hope everyone can understand my French accent.
Oh,
But it's a pleasure to be with you guys.
thank you. Well, we certainly can hear every word you're saying, and I think that's important. So let's talk about this first. I mean, your new position. How significant is it? Because I mean, there's two parts. There's the significance of the technical skills required, but also I see in terms of the intro, there's a huge emphasis on how it reflects the diversity of the global leadership of L'Oréal.
Yeah, honestly speaking, I'm very proud, but I also have some difficulty to realize that it's happening to me. I'm happy to get this opportunity, and I'm also proud that it's happening for the first time in South Africa, you know, because I think as Hyundai Sub-Saharan African Hub, we want to stand as the beating heart of the inclusive beauty science. And representation is important. So inclusivity is, of course, a science. It's about it makes a while that we are working on African hair, on African skin, to understand really our consumer behavior, the science, the biological truth behind them. But it's true that also to have a team who represents and a leadership who represents this inclusivity is super important. And I'm happy that it's happening now. I think it's the right momentum for us, and it was the right time actually. Yeah.
Okay. How do you think? I mean, of course, you're a new leader in that very important space. No research and innovation. You don't have a L'Oréal.
Yeah.
That's the way I see it, because you need to innovate regularly. How do you see the type of input you're going to make in that position?
So first of all, what I want to do is really to push the boundaries of the science. You know, in Africa, we have, in the continent, and included South Africa, we have the darker skin, we have the most frizzy hair, the also most fragile hair because the hair breakage fades a lot. We have also the more extreme weather with extreme hot, humidity. So we are here to push the boundaries of the innovation. We are here to challenge the group, also the research innovation of L'Oréal. We are here to challenge the central team on how far we can go in terms of innovation. And I really want that we move from African proud to African science proud, and that we infuse and we inspire the rest of our research innovation ecosystem. You know, within L'Oréal, we are almost 4,000 scientists. But in South Africa, we are 30. So it's really also our role to educate and to shape the future for the group.
Mm.
And so this is what we want to do.
So tell me more about the business of L'Oréal, both in South Africa or the African continent and globally.
So in terms of business, we are the filial in South Africa is here since quite a long time. We are very dynamic entity within the L'Oréal group, specifically focused on the diverse and vibrant market of Sub-Saharan Africa. We are based also, we are very Pan-African, so we are not only in South Africa, but also we have a filial in Nairobi, so L'Oréal East Africa. Our core mission, especially through our research innovation lab based in Johannesburg, is to drive Africa's center beauty innovation. And we have quite a big portfolio of brands. We have African beauty brands that we call like Dark and Lovely, Nice and Lovely in Kenya, but we also have international brands like Garnier, L'Oréal Paris, and we have obviously also all the pharmacy, dermatological brand, La Roche-Posay, so La Roche-Posay, CeraVe, so it's very massive company. And our specificity, L'Oréal, is that our unique business is beauty. So beauty is our science and beauty is also our core value and our only business. So we are really specific in beauty and we are trying to expand our footprint in this beautiful continent.
Okay. Tell me about your own journey. I mean, how did you get to this position? There had to be a journey that you followed.
Well, originally I'm a chemist. I grew up and I worked all my life in France. And I started in L'Oréal in 2013, working on hair. Then in 2015, I moved to Kenya. So it was my first experience. From Kenya, I moved to South Africa. I worked globally on African continent for almost 7 years. And I moved back to France to lead the Garnier International Skincare Lab. And I moved back to South Africa quite recently, so in September. So, yeah, I think my journey is quite representative of what it is to work for L'Oréal. It means like different continents, very international, different categories, haircare, skincare, and we are a very massive company. We are approximately 90,000 employees all around the world. So it is very big, but it's also bringing a lot of opportunity. And you, as an individual, you can really find your unique pattern and your unique journey within the company, which is very aspirational. And this is what I really want to drive also for the team here, actually in South Africa, really to show them that everything is possible and that we are embracing every identity, every personality, and within my team, I hope that they really feel like they have that.
Okay. And when, just to end with, and often when we talk to people who are best in class in their own spaces, you clearly are. Like, what for you would be the one ingredient that has given you the success that you are? Like, what have you personally got right?
Can you repeat, please? Sorry.
In terms of your own journey,
Yeah.
what is the one, characteristic or mannerism that you've adopted that has worked for you?
I think to stay authentic, honestly speaking. I think it's nice to have ambition, but I think it's also important to stay true to yourself, to be authentic, and then the opportunity will come to you. Something that I try to apply all my life long. I'm not sure I don't know if it's the best advice but for me. And that's why now being in South Africa, I just feel like I'm at the right place. It's fitting to me. And all my life, and especially since I'm at L'Oréal, I really try to stay authentic and to stay true to myself.
Okay, let's go back to end with now with where we started around transformation and the diversity. My understanding is that your position now makes you the first Black woman globally to hold this position. What do you feel about it? What sort of historic significance do you attach to it?
Well, frankly speaking, I'm the first one, but I want to pave the way for the rest because more should come. You know what I mean? So I'm the first one, happy and proud, and I'm going to push to get many others because this is how it should be. It's our proud to push inclusive talent, I think, and to represent the diversity, honestly speaking. And diversity has to be very visible to really believe on it. So I'm proud, I'm happy, I'm going to do my best to be at the level of expectation because I also see a lot of people watching, hearing.
Mm.
So I hope that I will disappoint nobody. But also think that it's the moment to say loudly, like many others have.
Okay, there we are. We are inspired, and thank you for inspiring us for yourself, for the organization that you lead as well. Angelina Boknunu, L'Oreal South Africa's new research and innovation hub director. You ought to be inspired. There's some questions. Ashraf, I applaud your guest. Well done, because most Afrikaners I know, there is no better place than our beautiful country. And then another one, Ashraf, can you ask your open letter Afrikaans guy if it denies that white people are being completely excluded from government jobs? I don't see why people anyway. From Jen in Cape Town. Okay, he's gone, unfortunately, Jen. And there were many other things, but I mean, we could never. We took at least 10 minutes longer around that. But I think that did come on the issue of where do Afrikaners see themselves in South Africa right now and beyond, right? Okay, more to come here on the National Pulse. Bring those calls. I want to hear you because you're on the pulse. I need your comments too. But let's get the news now. It's 4 o'clock.
Thank you, Ashraf. On the top stories, Durko notes Trump's latest immigration policy change and a man sentenced to 13 years in prison for rape. For SFM News, I am Ondelamban, and a very good afternoon. The Department of International Relations says it has taken note of a recent determination about the U.S. administration of President Donald Trump limiting its refugee intake for the current fiscal year to 7,500 people, the vast majority white Afrikaners. The White House indicated in its annual refugee determination dated September 30th and published yesterday that admissions would be focused largely on the Afrikaner ethnic minority, confirming earlier reporting from both the Washington Post and New York Times that was reflected by SABC News. DERCO spokesperson Crispin Piri.
The South African government has taken note of the recent presidential determination by the United States. This program remains concerning and still appears to rest on a premise that is factually incorrect and a disregard for our constitutional process. The claim of a white genocide in South Africa is widely discredited and unsupported by reliable evidence. This is further evidenced by the courageous, patriotic open letter from the prominent members of the Afrikaner community. And the limited uptake of this offer by South Africans is a telling indicator of this reality.
28-year-old Northern Cape man has been convicted and sentenced to 13 years in prison for raping his 61-year-old aunt in 2021. The DR Circuit Regional Court heard that the convicted man threatened to kill the rape survivor if she screamed. Provincial Police spokesperson Mulefi Shamane says the nephew fled the scene but was later arrested and linked to the crime.
The victim was awakened at approximately 2 o'clock in the morning on 17 December 2021 by an unknown person who was sexually assaulting her. He threatened to kill her if she screamed, then fled the scene. The victim managed to escape through a window and ran to her daughter's house for help. The police were immediately contacted and the victim was taken to hospital for medical examination. A thorough investigation was conducted, during which forensic evidence was collected from all individuals who had been at the house prior to the incident.
The city of Ekurhuleni Disaster Management Emergency Services says it is on high alert after the South African Weather Service issued warnings for severe thunderstorms across large parts of the country, including Gauteng. The Weather Service has issued a yellow level 4 warning for the Central and Eastern Free State, while a level 2 warning has been issued for the Northwest, Northern Cape, and Southern Gauteng. Ekurhuleni Emergency Spokesperson William Tladi.
Those who stays in wetland areas should be on a high alert as well because of flooding is imminent. And again, due to the strong winds that are blowing, those who reside next to or just next to huge trees, as that can be blown off, it might be of a detrimental effect to them that whereby at the worst case scenario, it might result with fatalities and property loss.
Accused one in the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial at the High Court in Pretoria, Muzi Sibiya, has accused the investigating officers of stealing his identity document to fill in personal information. Sibiya has been responding to questions from State Prosecutor George Baloyi. Sibiya and four others are on trial for the 2014 murder of the Bafana Bafana captain. The state alleges Sibiya pointed out Kelly Kumalu's parental home in Vosloorus on Gauteng's East Rand, where Meyiwa was shot. Sibiya denies this and also denies giving information to the police captured on the signed pro forma document.
mayefika endlini kamalume afika atshontshe i-ID yami ngoba nje angaze ngayithatha lapha phambi kwamshushisi bayisayinalala umshushisi wayisayinalala benoba mngomezulu i-ID yami yayisemaphoyiseni ukwazi kweminyaka yami mabebona i-ID number yami bayazokwazi ukuthi mina ngalesikhathi esingineminyaka emingaka.
With regards to my age, I did mention that when the police got to my uncle's place, they stole my identity document. And it was signed here by the state together with Mr. Mgomezulu when it was handed back. So looking at my ID number, they will then be able to tell as to how old I am.
The pre-trial case against three men accused of killing activist Loyiso Nkotla has been postponed to the 27th of February in the High Court in Cape Town. The court still has to find a presiding judge for the matter and to determine a court date. Zukisa Chabile, Mzianda Mdlungu and Mzubanzi Kulayo appeared through a video link. They are facing charges including murder and the illegal possession of firearms. Nkotla was gunned down in April 2023 while addressing people at the Philippi train station. The murder is linked to Nkotla's role in talks to clear Metrorail Central Line, where several families had built shacks on the railway lines. Recapping the top story, the Department of International Relations says it has taken note of a recent determination by the U.S. administration of President Donald Trump limiting its refugee intake for the current fiscal year to 7,500 people, the vast majority white Afrikaners. I'm on Delambana First FM News, headlines at 4:30.
In sports this hour, Portland set for Springbok debut and Sundowns and Pirates showdown takes center stage this weekend. More details at 4:30.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting off in Gauteng, the N14 in Pretoria is where a crash is reported between Euphues Road and Trechard Road, queuing traffic both ways. The N14 westbound has a crash before the R511 Diepsloot exit, and the R21 southbound in Kempton Park has a crash before Pomona Road. In KZN, the N3 eastbound, a crash after Linfield Park on the N2 northbound, queuing traffic through the construction area north of Spaghetti Junction, and the N3 westbound has a stationary vehicle near the Pavilion Mall exit. In Cape Town, the N7 northbound is where a crash is reported before Plattekloof Road. All lanes are open. Victoria Road outbound is slow moving through Woodstock, and the M5 southbound slow moving towards Racecourse Road exit. With your traffic update, I'm Irma G.
Clientele is here to safeguard you and your family with compassion because life happens. Be part of a family that truly cares. Our funeral dignity plans have helped South Africans bury their loved ones with dignity for more than 30 years. Let us help you create a meaningful tribute that honors your life and those of your loved ones. We pay out within 24 hours and you will get double accident cover with a clientele funeral plan. Our plans are affordable. Pick the option that suits your needs. Easy to apply, no medical examinations, and no paperwork. SMS SAFM to 48031. That's 48031. Clientele Life is an authorized FSP and licensed life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
The Expresso Morning Show has been nominated in 5 categories in the 3rd Annual National Film and Television Awards South Africa.
It all happens on Saturday, the 22nd of November 2025 at the South African State Theatre in Pretoria. And public voting is open from the 13th of October to the 20th of November at midday.
So visit nationalfilmacademy.com, register and vote for Expresso Morning Show in all 5 categories.
Then, of course, catch us weekdays 6 to 9 a.m. right here on S3.
The National Pulse with Ashraf Garda on SAFM. You're listening to the National Pulse, weekdays 3 to 6 p.m.
It's a different sort of Friday. No Madlanga Commission, no Parliamentary Ad Hoc Committee, no fireside chat. And I'll be away after this. So, like, no Ashraf for 2 weeks. I'll be away off to Munich, off to Paris, as I first take in and moderate at the One Young World event. We probably touched on it last year, where they bring together 2,000, at least 2,000 of the brightest young minds in the world, coming together for a week or so, well, 4 days, in fact, with about 200 other delegates that speak. And it's a who's who. It's a great privilege to be there, and I'll be there once again. And I can tell you that next year's one of One Young World will be in Cape Town, South Africa, next year, November. There we are. Something for you to look forward to. Right, let's touch on another issue that, who knows where this will land. Tensions were high this afternoon. That's in the city of Joburg, as part of the inner city itself, as informal traders marched outside the Johannesburg High Court. Well, why did they do so? They were protesting the city of Joburg's crackdown on unauthorized vendors. So let's try and understand, what does the law say? What are the rights, and what's the reality for all of this? Puseletso Mokoena is the SABC News reporter in Joburg who's been covering that story. Puseletso, thanks for joining us on the National Pulse. Puseletso, do I have you there?
Hello, yeah, I'm still here.
Yes, I do. You're live on the National Pulse. Thanks for joining us, right? Well, perhaps take us through what happened today.
Okay, so what happened today? There was a big hive of the where the we're going with regards to the implementation of the Senate from this state. That is from two inspectors, rather, here in the city of Johannesburg. What happened as of so parties put together. Some were on the side of the city of Johannesburg, some were on the side of the traders. So we saw the economic fighters on the side of the traders, the rifles and the also the FC, the Extraction SA, Operation Dula, and Patriotic Alliance being on the side of Johannesburg, saying the informal traders need to leave because they leave the untidiness of the city and also unlawful operate while they are unauthorized.
Let's talk about what does the law say? I mean, you talked about the political parties. What does the law say about this?
Well, currently we are not sure, because what I can tell you is that there has been talk for the mayor of Johannesburg, going inside the court with the representative. The media was not allowed inside. So rather, yes. So there are currently talks, but they are not done. Right now it's in a short adjournment, and then after that, as to what happened moving forward.
Now, so the status quo right now, as it stands, as you and I talk right now, what's the position regarding these informal traders?
The position they found.
Yeah, in terms of, so they were obviously trading, right? And then what has happened now to them? I heard what you mentioned about Sally. We'll talk to them about them in a moment, yeah?
Okay, so what is happening right now is the traders are still outside. I don't know if you can hear the background noise. The traders are still outside. Just they made them about what happened.
Okay, let's talk about
what I can tell you is that
continue.
we spoke to some of the traders. This them because their lives are now on the so because they don't have any income going. I also spoke to them. They also told me that they are stock collecting. They are trade whereby they are trading. Their stock has now been dilapidated. I mean, lot of money is being applied. So this is what they told us right now. They are outside this their frustration over this position.
Mm. Let's talk about, do these traders get it when they hear that the city of Joburg says they will not allow them to trade informally without a permit? I mean, do they understand that there has to be regulations, or do they feel differently?
They do. I should say they do because while I was speaking to them, Ashraf, one of them showed me a card. That card is written with the name, and she says that if you have this card, it means you are authorized to, it means that you are authorized to trade, you know. So they should be the card to say that they are legally trading and they are formal traders. So they spoke as that something that is pushing them to be this position. Because when they were removing them, they removed everyone. The system check who is operating and locally and who is operating locally. So I them have the right to trade. While some of them do not have the right. So what we understand to to the to just to the news shortly. Just being short and on record, he said that they are still and doing the investigation. So how many people are authorized to operate the farming and how many those who are not authorized to operate so that apply in order for them to operate locally.
Okay. What about the role of SERI, the what's it, Socioeconomic Rights Institute?
What I can, the socioeconomic rights, we haven't spoken to them now because there's been talks over this week. But what I can say is that they are very adamant that their rights of the traders are being violated and they are still saying that people need to make a living because what I can say is that many people here, they were even holding street traders like letters, give us the loan, we are trying to hustle. So you can just say this whole issue.
Okay, that's where we're going to leave it. Appreciate you giving us your time and giving us an insight onto what's happening in the streets of Joburg, or certainly what happened earlier today. Puseletso Mokoena, thank you for that. We'll move on from one issue of a deadlock of sorts to another regarding the National Union of Metal Workers right after this.
Ashraf Garda on the National Pulse.
All right. I know you are itching to talk, and I will try and get to your calls as soon as I can. But you can send the voice notes now so we can bank it. At least I know we've got it, so we don't lose out on the opportunity of talking to you. So how do you connect? WhatsApp, text, or voice note 0614 104 107. And then to call in live, it's 086 000 2032. Right. So let's talk then about another issue, which we'll get to just now, regarding the position of the National Union of Metal Workers. But I did say we need to pick up some of your thoughts. Here's one on Joburg.
Good afternoon, Ashraf and the listeners. Ashraf, this cleanup by the city now all of a sudden with informal traders. This is all in preparation for the G20. And after the G20, they will allow people to break laws left, right, and center again. This way of management, of managing a city, and then we go and get onto the bandwagon. But why did the city leave the situation to grow into what it is today? For me, that is inexcusable. Thanks for the great show.
Thank you.
Something Grafenton.
Thank you. Do you think as many people do that? All these cleanups are linked to window dress for G20. I mean, the G20 summit will take place at Nasrec. Do you think people are going to drive through the city of Joburg itself, which is a no-go zone for many people anyway?
Good evening, Ashraf. Ashraf, I wish we had more people like Chris. So yeah, oh, he's living in reality. If we can have more white people as him, we would build our country and we will be at peace with each other. Yeah, because like he said, we are being roped in to petty politics of USA. And yeah, I mean, kudos to him and his group,
Well, you know,
Jalo East London.
thank you. You said that there should be more people like him, and the reality is based upon just those who've signed up. Like there are more people like him, and in fact, there could well be thousands, if not even more than that. Not everybody signs up. I think the challenge for us as South Africans, and I mean this, I'm very clear on. We cannot be in a situation. Doesn't matter which political party, where everything. So we must be for transformation. I think it's critical, but we also can't be in a position where everything is seen through the prism of color only, so that all we do is just other each other all of the time. People need to be seen as, well, stronger together. They need to be seen as part of a broader vision.
Hello, Ashraf, your team and your listeners. Absolutely. The gentlemen you have there in studio, those are the people that we need in the world. People who think for themselves. People who are not controlled by any politicians or whoever. People who think of their own and make decisions based on their own, not zombies. So absolutely, I encourage people who think like the gentleman in the studio. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And there's more than that. There's lots of other people commenting, and keep those comments coming anyway, because I'd love to hear all the things that you said. But let's do this. Let's then get to the issue of the NUMSA auto industry deadlock.
SAFM music crafted to make you feel real good. Handpicked just for your pleasure. Classics sounding so good only on SAFM. SAFM supports a litter-free South Africa. Play your part in keeping our surroundings and environment clean. SAFM, leading the conversation. Ashraf Garda on the National Pulse.
Okay, we are going to reflect on the inaugural Youth Development in Durban, hosted by the National Youth Development Agency. Very important in terms of their role in terms of creating jobs and opportunities. I understand a 2.5 billion rand investment fund drive. I hope it works. In the meantime, let's talk about the National Union of Mine Workers. They have called an urgent press conference, well, this morning, right, to address the deadlock in wage talks with employers in the auto industry. Let's understand, why are they poles apart? Maybe. Bagamile Klubi Majola is NUMSA's national spokesperson. It's always good to connect with you on the National Pulse.
Good afternoon, Ashraf, and good afternoon to your listeners. It's the National Union of Metal Workers of South Africa.
Did I say mine? I can see metalwork right in front of me. My apology for that if I said that, but I certainly
Good afternoon, I understand.
maybe, yeah. All right, let's talk then about the need to address the media and tell us what your plans are. What's the backstory to all of this?
So the backstory is that as we stand right now, we are deadlocked with employers in the 7 OEMs in the auto sector. We are on the verge of a strike. We've been issued with a certificate of non-resolution, which allows us to embark on a strike because of the fact that we've not been able to find one another with regards to this round of wage talks. So in 2022, NUMSA settled with the auto employers. There's a 3-year wage agreement, which currently is about to expire. We've been negotiating, but where we are right now is that we can't find each other. We're on the verge of a strike. And we called this press conference to basically unpack our feelings as a union around this, our frustration around the fact that we believe that the CEOs of the auto industry, of the FOEM, we believe they could do much better to try and settle this round of negotiations. We are not far away from each other, and this was the purpose of this press conference.
All right. So when you say you're not far away, give us the margins. What do you want? What are they offering?
So at the point of the deadlock, MINSA was demanding 8% across two. So first of all, let me first start by saying that we're talking here in terms of, this was a 3-year agreement that we were talking. MINSA is demanding 8% for the first year. That was at the point of deadlock. And what the auto employers are offering us is 6.5% for the first year, and then 5% for the second and third year. Now, we have a problem with what they're offering because we believe that it's not going far enough to meet us. We would prefer to settle either at 8.5% for the first year and 7% for the second and third year. But if the auto employers feel that 8.5% and 7% and 7% are too high, then we would be willing to settle on 7% for the first year and 6% for the second and third year. So when you look at those figures, where we're saying we would be willing to settle at 7% for the first year and 6% for the second and third year, and the auto employers are offering 6.5% for the first year and 5% for the second and third year, we really are not far apart. We're talking here about a percentage difference in essence. And we're saying, is it really worth it for the auto employers to risk a national strike in the auto industry over a 1% which they can make back over 3 years? We don't think that it is that they're being reasonable.
Okay, they may apply the same logic to you to say, for 1%, how do you put your job at risk and potentially undermine the productivity within the automobile industry at a time where it's been a struggle, and we all know that.
Well, first of all, we think that they're being disingenuous because despite the struggle that they keep reminding people about, they've made massive profits during this period. And one of the things that we have also said that they must be honest with the public and disclose how much money they've generated, for example, out of government incentives in the form of the Automotive Investment Scheme. These are among the incentives that government gives them. At the same time, we said that they have made a lot they've generated credit certificates which they use to offset duties in order to buy cars that are not locally assembled. So we're saying that they've actually made maximum profits in spite of the difficulties that they're claiming. We are asking for 1%, and we know they can make that money back over the next 3 years. These are workers who they're basically saying to workers that they must accept 5%, which in our view would be a wage freeze, particularly for those last 2 years. Given that the very same workers are struggling with things like extremely high electricity costs, the same workers are struggling with the fact that they spend 57% of their income just on transportation and energy. What is 1% from an industry that has really generated excessive profits, has been heavily supported by government? Surely they need to give something back to the very same workers who are responsible for generating their
Okay,
very generous profits.
so this question, what is 1%? Not only do you put it forward here on a national radio station like SAFM, you've obviously put it to them as well. What has been their reasons why they can't bend this 1% only?
Well, they're using this tired excuse of claiming that they can't afford it. They're experiencing problems with Trump and the tariffs. But in our view, we think that they're not being honest, and this is why we said that they should bring the public into their confidence. If they're really genuine about the claims they're making, they should have no problem with disclosing their profits. They should have no problem with disclosing the monies that they've made through the generous incentives offered by government. And also, they should also be honest about, because one of the things that they complain about is the fact that the Chinese are dumping cars onto the market. But part of the reason that that's happening is because the very same auto companies have been selling credit certificates to Chinese brands, which allows the Chinese brands, makes it easier for them to dump those cars on the market. So in other words, they have contributed to the challenges that they're facing, and they should just be honest about that.
All right.
They can definitely afford the 1%, and we're urging them to come back to the negotiation table and give that to
take it they haven't responded to your media briefing today, right? So if not, then what happens next?
We've been given a strike certificate, and we will wait for members to give us the word in terms of when we should embark on a national strike. And then the next step would be for us to announce that.
Okay. Let's leave it at that. Again, two sides to that story. Pakamile Khlubi Majola, and let's be very clear, National Union of Metal Workers, Friday or no Friday. Thank you for your conversation and your input on that one. I wonder what you make of that. Is it a case of simply just 1%, as has been said, or are the workers being unrealistic regarding that in a time of general restraint, economic restraint across the board in the world? Although some may say, well, they often use excuses, some people, to say, well, it could be a Trump factor anyway. So do you see beyond that in terms of where they are? By the way, let me just tell you as well. I don't know if you heard the conversation with Dr. Tlaleng on Kathy's show this morning. I mean, it's quite a fascinating one because, the medical governing body took her to task and found against her for pronouncements about the Israeli leader Benjamin Netanyahu, not about her medical work at all. And she is a UN rapporteur. But what's come through is, in fact, at this point in time, whether they even have the right of jurisdiction over what she says in a non-medical space. Never mind, she is a medical doctor. Did you listen to that conversation? If not, just listen to that podcast. I'm going to give it another listen over the weekend, I can assure you. Right, let's get to the news headlines now. It's 4:30. Years on Della.
Thank you, Ashraf. On the headlines, the leader of the National Coloured Congress, Fidel Adam Sansi, will be laying criminal charges against the KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner, Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, next week. Strike action is looming in the automotive sector. The National Union of Metal Workers of South Africa has confirmed that it's now in possession of a strike certificate after rejecting an employer offer of 7% in the first year and 5.5% in the other years of a multi-year agreement. And the Department of International Relations says it has taken note of a recent determination by the U.S. administration of President Donald Trump limiting its refugee intake for the current fiscal year to 7,500 people, the vast majority white Afrikaners. A full update follows at the top of the hour with Jolane Tulongwepe.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting off in Gauteng, the N1 northbound in Pretoria slow moving towards Rigel Avenue, the N1 southbound in Four Ways queuing towards Winnie Mandela Drive, and the R55 in Midrand queuing at Tambuti Road. In KZN, the N3 westbound in Pietermaritzburg has a crash after Peter Brown Drive, the N3 westbound has a stationary truck near Pavilion Mall exit queuing traffic, and the M4 southbound has a crash before the M7 highway. In Cape Town, Main Road and Fishhook is slow moving at Sunny Cove, Albert Road outbound slow moving through Woodstock, and the N2 outbound is slow moving towards Bonga Avenue. With your traffic update, I'm Irma G.
This is SAFM Sports with Domin Kapele.
Right, Chumi, you've got a big rugby story. Tell me.
Yeah, former junior Bok captain Zachary Porthen is set to become the youngest prop to start for South Africa in the professional era when the Springboks face Japan this weekend. The 21-year-old tight head prop enjoyed a rapid rise from standing out for the UCT Keys to being a Stormers regular in the URC, and now set to make his Springbok debut. And coach Rassie Rasmus says that while some coaches prefer to ease youngsters in the bench, giving Porthen a start is a sign of confidence.
Sometimes getting a young guy in like that, they sometimes are fearless and just enjoy the moment. Sometimes putting them on the bench, that sometimes build up the nerves. So we'll see on Saturday if it's the right call or the wrong call. It's definitely a Japanese team that scrummed well against Australia and got 100% of their ball and only gave 1 or 2 penalties away when even Australia had the ball. So it will definitely not be an easy game for him. He's probably one of the few guys in the group that we've had this year that didn't have time to really adapt to all of our plays and the way we train and the way we maul and the way we defend and all those kind of things. A hell of a lot of information. I guess, you don't want to find that out in the last 20 minutes of the game when you have to win the game. So we just thought starting him with that solid lock pairing behind him, and obviously then have great security on the bench with guys that scrummed together in the past.
In terms of cricket, Proteas women coach Mandla Mashimbi says that the key to their success at the ICC Women's World Cup has been the unity within the team. The national team will be playing in their first ever senior 50 over World Cup after beating four-time champions England in the semi-finals, and will now have a chance to make history on Sunday when they take on co-host India in the decider.
When I came into the job, the one thing that I picked up was probably the division that was within the team, not necessarily in a malice way, but I just thought maybe we could be better in making sure that we are more of a united front as a team. And also certain skills with certain players that I felt needed to improve for us to actually come here and become a force.
Well, then the stage is set for two big clubs in the Betway Premiership. Mamelodi Sundowns versus Orlando Pirates at Loftus Stadium tomorrow. And one can definitely say that they'll be fighting for bragging rights. Now, I am joined in a studio by both club legends, Masandawana legend Katla Kompela and Buccaneers legend Lucky Likhwati. Gents, welcome to the show. A very interesting one. It's always fireworks between these two, but the last time they met, Pirates won 4-1 ko Loftus. So, I mean, let's start with you, Lucky. What makes this fixture so special?
Firstly, let me start by greeting you, Tunza, and to all the listeners of SAFM at home. And yeah, I'm not just a fixture. I think it's so special. Sundowns and Mamelodi and Orlando Pirates, obvious. I think for Sundowns, it's been how many seasons without, winning the title. So Pirates, they want to challenge the title this season. It's been, I don't know how many seasons, finishing second. So this time around, I think they have opportunity. If you go back the previous years, the downfall was not to be consistent, but now they are consistent. Winning 8 games in a row. Like now they have 2 games in hand. Sundowns, they're number 1 with 2-3 points. And Pirates, if they win, they're going to be number 1. So I think that is the motivation of like, we beat Sundowns, we're going to number 1. Ari bone ko te.
Well, Mpela, listen, Themba Zwane out, Mokoena is also out. Where do you think Sundowns is going to get the creativity tomorrow?
Are we talking about Sundowns here? They always have the depth when it comes to these things, and especially when it comes to the league, they always pull through because of the squad they have. They've signed a couple of good players, but missing. I don't think with one is that of a problem, but with Mokoena, I've never seen anyone play that role like he does. But Sundowns, and maybe arguably 2 of the best teams in South Africa right now, playing against each other. So we're hoping for fireworks, like you said, end-to-end stuff, and obviously I'm on Sundowns side, so hopefully they'll win.
Well, listen, it's a sold-out affair. It shows that the country is really waiting for this fixture. But both of you have played in this rivalry before. How different do you think the intensity is compared to the times when you guys were still playing to now?
Sponi say and win, dial up. And hashtag Gazini. Yeah, no. You see, if you compare our team, most of my teammates, like nearly senior players combined with youngsters. But to look at now, Pirate, most of them are coming from the development. They are young. So you compare their pace with their pace. That pace of them, it's someone was like yesterday I was visiting them and like what you can still play. I'm like, there's no way the likes of Mufukeng or Villa guys, I don't want to fall with my knees and those boys now they can run. If you look at their pace, it's so amazing. Like now you look at Orlando Pirates. This season they're on fire. Even the players that they've signed, and I'm happy because of the coach is introducing them gradual. But he nearly made a mistake start of the season by introducing, all of them at the same time. But now he's introducing them gradual. I see Vinam Bata coming, Ndawa coming to the game and is doing very, very, very well.
Mpela?
Yeah, like you said, it's always end-to-end stuff, and both teams, but they play differently. I think Pirates, they'll want to play on the front foot, and Sundowns, they're more of a keeping the ball type of team. So it will be interesting to see how it's gonna end. But like you said, you're missing Mshishi and Mokoena. We'll rely on Allende. And the good thing about Sundowns is that everyone is chipping in with goals, and they have two strikers that are scoring goals at the moment. They're on form. Doesn't matter who plays, and that's what we're going to be relying on, strikers that can score goals, and that's what we want to see.
One thing that Coach Cardoso has been saying is that he feels that he needs greater support from the PSL in terms of the fixtures, especially the fact that obviously they're getting into the group stages of the CAF
Wow.
Champions League. Your thoughts with regards to that? Do you agree with him?
Yeah, I can agree with him on that. If you remember from last season, I think they're the only team that played a lot of matches, Last season, they played a lot of matches. They even went to the Club World Cup, and they didn't have enough preseason to prepare. That's why you can see the form now. It's up and down because the player, they're not matches. They need a rest as well.
But is it not part of the game?
It's part of the game, but we're dealing with human beings. No matter what you do, you still have to rest and to perform. So now you can see the performances are not consistent. So it's because of that, But we don't have excuse with the money they're getting and all the sponsors. They have to come through and play the games.
But they're out of the black label. They're going to red. So why the push? No.
No, but black label is
No, but now when
one week and
1 week,
when they
1
play
week is it's very important for a player to
But I'm saying
to rest.
compare the numbers of last season and this season.
Yeah, but this I'm
And
saying
then-
now they are last season I understand they played all these competitions.
But this time,
But this time they are out 2 weeks at least. They'll rest for 2 weeks. Yeah.
Before I
Sure.
let you go, because we're running out of time.
Yeah.
There are reports that Pirates have now lodged complaints against FC Lupopo in terms of the CAF Champions League. What are your thoughts with regards to that? Do you think you guys have a chance to win?
You know what? I think we have a chance. Talking from experience, I once played there in DRC. I know. But I think we have a chance. It happened to Mamelodi Sundowns when I forget the name of the team. They played a suspended player, and supporters are calling the back door. So even Pirate wanna stand like a back door, and back door is dangerous. When you put like a back door, you win the tournament.
Guys, we have run out of time quickly. Predictions.
No, I see goals here. I think 3-2 for Sundowns.
3-2.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's good. Supporters they're coming to see
Oh, to
goals.
see goals,
2-0 to Orlando Pirates.
All right, re tla bona. Tomorrow it is D-Day at Loftus Versfeld, Mamelodi Sundowns and Orlando Pirates.
I don't love going to school. I don't love sitting in a classroom with 50 other children. But I do love learning. Ndiyakuthanda ukufunda isiXhosa as a language. I do love getting good grades. I do love UCT Online High School because I do love my future. Apply online before 28 November.
FCA will only be happy with maximum points. However, PVP believe they will paint Augsburg in yellow and black. This is the Bundesliga, football as it's meant to be. Catch FC Augsburg and Borussia Dortmund on Friday, 31 October at 8:30 p.m. live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4 and everywhere for everyone, always on SABC Plus. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
Access to the internet is vital for any country to grow. That's why the recent 6.75 billion rand digital infrastructure deal that Standard Bank Corporate and Investment Banking facilitated between Telkom and an Actors-led consortium is so transformational for South Africa. It unlocks growth and provides internet access to underserved communities who will now have access to the internet for the very first time. Search CIB Stories of Impact to watch the full story.
Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Economic news on SAFM. Facts and figures you can count on.
There's always lots to consider with the markets being the last of Friday. What have you got? Yeah, do I have you there? Oh, okay. We'll reconnect in just a moment.
SAFM music crafted to make you feel real good. Handpicked just for your pleasure. classics sounding so good only on SAFM.
Right, now we can get to Paswane and Patlele. Yeah, the last report from you for the week. What's on the agenda?
Afternoon, Ashraf, and to all your listeners, happy Friday. We received the data from China for Kuwait. Now that we are experiencing a gradual recovery, still an expensive holding at 50, but it reflects that the manufacturing challenge of this experiments that it is a cycle. Weaker demand when you think of global demand and price pressures that have been into the economy is experiencing some level of inflation and growth. Rural areas signaling similar things on the inflation front and the growth front, flashing downside risks to these economies in overall. And is reflected in their stock markets, giving investors opportunity in terms of buying bonds. Yes, using China did make that, but it looks like it's only supported to the US going forward, especially with the three earnings being double digit earnings and building rate cutting December being supported with government have shut down to the holding. Encouraging generally that the US will hold an effective momentum on the dollar front will see if it can break through to 98. These developments are indicating commodity prices gold is holding positive trend at $4,020 an ounce flat. Oil remains bearish as it rounded up 0.8 at $4 barrel. Bitcoin is also reflective of characteristics of a bearish momentum at $109,000. When we look what it means for South African markets, it's consolidating. Rand sensitivities are under pressure, and the likes of commodity rebound is supporting the JSE. We see this down at seemingly came from base of 0.5. That's what the bank 0.7 of financial of flat. When we look at the US Nasdaq, it's 0.5. Europe, the tech is just down 0.5. Rand has not changed its 7.8. There is a euro with a 20.03 and rand is a 22.28.
Okay, perfect. Thanks for that, Paswane and Patlele. Have a great weekend. We'll connect well. Certainly, the show will connect with you on Monday. I said we because I'm not going to be on Monday. I'm away for a couple of weeks off in Munich and Germany, Munich and Paris for the One Young World Summit. First things first. But I need to get to you in a moment. There's also other developments from the NYDA. Let's talk about that next.
SAFM's award-winning drama department presents to you the radio drama series Skyline.
Such cockpit medical emergency now.
Cabin crew to your stations.
Where the skies promise adventure, but behind the cabin doors, untold secrets are found.
Signing off on cheap parts they installed like it's nothing.
Catch the radio drama series every Saturday at 9 p.m. on SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. You're listening to the National Pulse on SAFM. SAFM.
Okay, so let's now talk about a fascinating come together, really, in many ways, the inaugural youth investment in Durban, which has been put together by the National Youth Development Agency. Part of all of that is a youth empowerment, incentive of sorts. So the Deputy President of South Africa is Paul Mashatile. He delivered the keynote address at this inaugural in Durban, and we picked out some highlights from there. Firstly, maybe to emphasize the most obvious, but yet the most important thing that we all need to hear, that young people deserve to have a seat at the table.
Let me begin by thanking the NYDA team for creating such an incredible and vibrant platform. I also appreciate being considered to be part of this youth investment in Durban, which is a transformative moment aimed at impacting the lives of young people. I truly appreciate this moment because it affords me an opportunity to engage with you, listen to your thoughts, and understand your needs as young people. You all represent the future of our land, both as today's leaders, but also leaders of tomorrow. I have consistently expressed these sentiments that as leaders, we cannot talk and formulate policies regarding young people without them. We can't formulate policies and come with program for young people without young people. They have to be there. they have to participate. Young people deserve a seat at the table to ensure that the issues of youth are not just, but are adequately addressed. The youth voice inside workplaces, in civic engagements, and in the public-private sectors needs to be elevated by policies, programs, and interventions that are impactful. The sub-theme, forging a national compact, is pertinent to our efforts to establish an inclusive society with youth development at its center.
Right. Then Mashatile spoke about the labor market. And again, touching on like the critical issues of, hey, we need to get jobs for these young people.
Create a labor market that will effectively create employment opportunities for young people, including those with no skills. The Human Resource Development Council, which is an agency of government which the President has asked me to lead, can play a crucial role in addressing this crisis by improving workforce skills, creating jobs, and fostering economic growth. For those of you who may not have heard about the HRDC, it involves labor, business, NGOs, and government departments, but also universities and so on. So it's a very good platform to deal with the issue of skills in the country. So, ladies and gentlemen, if we do this, we will ensure that this is an entrenched challenge that directly calls for innovation and leadership. As the HRDC, we made it our goal to mitigate poverty, inequality, and unemployment by facilitating platforms for social partners to act.
And then Mashatile spoke about, we often talk about shared values, what about shared objectives?
We should all work towards shared objectives, particularly to address significant social or economic challenges that our nation is currently facing. This endeavor must then provide a definitive course of action to address our challenges. We should develop practical solutions to the challenges that young people face, such as high unemployment, unequal education access, and high rates of substance abuse and criminality. We should equally be concerned about school violence. We have seen recently, even on TV, bullying in schooling and so on. We really need to be concerned about that. But we must also be worried about technological access. There is disparity there that we must deal with, and also the skills mismatch between education and employment.
Okay, that's Paul Mashatile, the Deputy President. And you are next.
SAFM music, crafted to make you feel real good. Handpicked just for your pleasure. Classics sounding so good, only on SAFM.
Ashraf Garda on the National Pulse.
So, what is it that you wish to get off your chest? What for you moves the pulse today? To call in 086 000 2032. I would think a regular would have saved the number a long time ago, but let me just give it to you anyway. But first-time callers, you're welcome. Let me announce you when you come on and talk. WhatsApp, voice or text 0614 104 107. So earlier on, we chatted to Chris Spiss, remember, regarding the Afrikaners coming together effectively signing an open letter saying Trump does not speak for us. We are not those Afrikaners. We've had a big response on that.
Hi guys, Craig Durban. Yeah, once again, just with this conversation on dialogue, the gentleman is 100% correct. It's nice to hear somebody say that it doesn't always have to be warfare, and it doesn't always have to be right and wrong. We can all have our opinions, and we can all agree to disagree. That's what democracy is about. But indirectly, what he's saying is, yeah, there's too much hatred. 100% right. But once again, I have to say, by the same token, we're still talking about this issue of Afrikaans, English, black, white. We need to stop this, guys. We're people. We're entitled to have opinion, and we're entitled to do as we want within the ambit of the law.
Well, I hear you. Listen, I mean, in principle, I think we'll continue talking about issues of transformation in color terms because it is so color skewed. On the other hand, I think where you are right is you can't have a situation where a person does something bad or good and we bring color into it as the first default in the conversation. And that happens just far too often.
You know, Ashraf, I'm really enjoying this interview you're having with Chris. It's something that I appreciate his honesty. I appreciate how frank he is, and obviously, with truth comes a lot of criticism. I think a lot of people, Ashraf, are not very happy with how South Africa is at the moment, regardless of race. We would all like to fix our country to be what we all want it to be. But I really am appreciating his honesty and the efforts, you know, just to set the record straight with the United States.
Okay, I think it's a wonderful call from you in response to a very interesting conversation from Chris Spies. And if you missed it, please get to our website, safm.coza. We may tweet it as well, but go to the website. You'll find it there under, podcast and then the National Pulse and listen to it. And I'm asking you to share it to your WhatsApp groups and use that as the basis of a very good weekend conversation.
Good afternoon, Ashraf. Speaking to Switzerland in Devon. No, Ashraf, I'm sorry about this. Has all left South Africa because of the narrative which is painted by Donald Trump and the Afro Forum. I'm saying to them, they must come back home. There is nothing called the slaughter South Africa. Those people, that narrative, it's a political Trump and to get point to the countries of the world. It is protecting people, but there are people who want to paint the wrong picture with South Africa, such as the Forum. We know that Afro Forum doesn't like to see a black person ruling this country. But there's those who still believe that South Africa can, would have taken it forward. Let that be. Thank you, Ashraf.
Just on the Afri Forum one, I mean, are we sure that they don't want a black person to rule the country? I'm not suggesting you're wrong. I'm just like, how sure are we? And maybe I'm being naive asking that question, isn't it?
Good afternoon, Ashraf. Chris, please, the gentleman your guest there, he made my day. He made my day, and thanks to him and the people he is with, those who are seeing the reality of what is going on in South Africa. He really made my day after it was spoiled by this Adams guy. I don't know who's representing the what colored party, where. I don't know who is trying to impress there. This guy. People are fighting drugs there, and then he's busy with those people who are fighting drugs, opening cases against them. Marumo Mahikeng, good afternoon.
Thanks. Why did Fadil Adams spoil your day? What did he say or do that so, irritated you? I'd like to know.
Good afternoon to me and your guest there. This thing of the Sundowns playing many games than other teams, it's just a lie. Sundowns they always have this lot of players, some of them sitting on the bench there, sitting on the stands there. They're buying all the good players in the league, and then they complain about having so many games. What's the point? What are they using the money for? So it's just an excuse. Let them go play. They have somebody who will play Mukwena's position. I know, they say he's the one who does it best. But the fact that they bought all the good players like in South Africa. So let them go play without any excuse. And let them see with them against Pirates tomorrow.
Well, I agree. I believe that game's full house sold out very, very quickly. As far as playing more games are concerned, I mean, what would Sundowns prefer? Not play more games? Rather be knocked out of the Champions League African so they don't have to play games? Obviously, we know that's not true. They want to play, and they've got the money to back it up, and they've got the players squad to back it up.
Good afternoon, SAFM, to listeners and to Mr. Ashraf. Mr. Ashraf, with regard to the NUMSA strike, how many of the workers really want to strike and willing to lose their pay due to the financial constraints workers are experiencing in the country? Just like to ask a question, are these workers pressurized into going to strike? They should do an internal survey at the company to find out how many workers want to go on strike or whether they are pressurized to go into the strike. Because to lose salary today is difficult, especially to put food on the table. Thank you.
Well, I mean, we don't really know, accepting that if they buy into it, they bought into it. So we don't really know. But maybe they're frustrated and they feel they have to make a point.
Ashraf, my brother, let me ask you, what's the use of having government in South Africa? Where you can have your small parties that are not even represented in the national government or in a government or in a ballot paper or series, who will come and force the government to do what is not right. The government is trying to clean up the city. Whatever is it for G20 or not for G20, it's a right thing to do. We can't have a city that is lawlessness. Water spilling all over the city. And then you have to say it is because people are making money. We'll never have a country as long as we have this serious guy. And I'm sorry to say that. And for EFF, my vote is not yours, brothers.
Okay, and you call them a brother. I hear you. I think your point is right. Whatever the reasons are, they're cleaning up, they're cleaning up. I drove through Mayfair in the Crown Mines area the other day. Yo, man, no, not acceptable. But I think everyone can give their own Mayfair story, wherever that is, in another part of the city of Joburg or the country. It's 5 o'clock. Let's get the news.
Top stories is now about Fadiel Adams to lay criminal charges against Mkhwanazi next week, and Durko notes U.S. determination on refugees. Good afternoon. I'm Jolani Tulo Webe. The leader of the National Coloured Congress, Fadiel Adams, says he will be laying criminal charges against KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner Ndlandla Mkhwanazi next week. Adams said this while lodging criminal complaints at the Cape Town Central Police Station against the National Police Commissioner Fanny Masemola. Mkhwanazi had alleged before the parliamentary inquiry that Adams had access to police intelligence. Adams says he aims to lay charges of what he calls extrajudicial killings in KZN under the leadership of Mkhwanazi.
You know what? The South African police service is fast becoming one big crime scene, and it's all happening under the tutelage of one Fanny Masemola. The National Commissioner is the one that is the buck stops with him. He's the accounting officer for the SAPS. If his underlings are buying Lamborghinis, hotels, and going on holidays overseas without tax money, he's the one signing it off. He's the one implicated. I believe that he should have been at the gates of jail. I think that that press conference that Mkhwanazi called was to save his friends. This has got nothing to do with ethics. As a matter of fact, I don't know if the man has ethics. Remember, he issued a very veiled threat at me yesterday. A very veiled one. Here's my response. I will see your bet and I'll raise it. Next week, General Mkhwanazi, I will lay charges about the extrajudicial killings of children that's happening in KZN.
And in news just in, a second suspect has been arrested in connection with the mass shooting incident in Westbury in Johannesburg last week. The 36-year-old is believed to be the mastermind behind the shooting. He was arrested in Westbury today. He's due to appear before the Johannesburg Magistrates Court on Monday, facing 2 counts of murder and 5 counts of attempted murder. Operations have resumed at the Ngaka Mudiri Molema district municipality in Mahikeng in the northwest after they were halted yesterday. The police's cold case unit and special task force conducted a search and seizure operation, which led to the confiscation of cell phones, laptops and electronics of some high-ranking municipal officials. They reportedly targeted the offices of the executive mayor, municipal manager and the chief financial officer, among others. Police say this forms part of ongoing investigations into corruption, fraud and maladministration. Letlogonolo March is the spokesperson for the Ngaka Mudiri Molema district municipality.
The municipality sincerely apologized for the inconvenience caused to critical municipal services, but we had to allow due processes to unfold. Therefore, all municipal officials are requested to resume duty and allow the law enforcement processes to speak. Nakamudiri Mulema District Municipality remain committed to an uninterrupted service delivery to communities.
Strike action is looming in the automotive sector. The National Union of Metal Workers of South Africa, NUMSA, has confirmed that it's now in possession of a strike certificate after rejecting an employer offer of 7% in the first year and 5.5% in the other years of a multi-year agreement. The union was briefing the media in Johannesburg. NUMSA started the wage negotiations demanding a 9% increase. Irvin Jim is the NUMSA General Secretary.
What we're rejecting from employers is 7%, 5.5, 5.5. We're happy with 7% in the first year. We can live with that. But we do not agree that workers must be given 5.5, 5.5. Employers must bring that 0.5%, and we can have 7, 6, 6. We can close these negotiations with the current package that we've been able to negotiate. And it's still responsible for employers to plunge the industry to a strike for a 1% for a period of a 3 years. This money they can pay to workers and then manage their production. They will recover this 1% over a period of a 3 years.
A 28-year-old Northern Cape man has been convicted and sentenced to 13 years in prison for raping his 61-year-old aunt in 2021. The De Aar Circuit Regional Court heard that the convicted man threatened to kill the rape survivor if she screamed. Provincial Police spokesperson Modifi Shimane says the nephew fled the scene but was later arrested and linked to the crime.
The victim was awakened at approximately 2 o'clock in the morning on 17 December 2021 by an unknown person who was sexually assaulting her. He threatened to kill her if she screamed, then fled the scene. The victim managed to escape through a window and ran to her daughter's house for help. The police were immediately contacted and the victim was taken to hospital for medical examination. A thorough investigation was conducted, during which forensic evidence was collected from all individuals who had been at the house prior to the incident.
The Department of International Relations says it has taken note of a recent determination by the U.S. administration of President Donald Trump limiting its refugee intake for the current fiscal year to 7,500 people, the vast majority white Afrikaners. The White House indicated in its annual refugee determination dated September 30th and published yesterday that admissions would be focused largely on the Afrikaner ethnic minority, confirming earlier reporting from both the Washington Post and New York Times that it was reflected by SABC News. DIRCO spokesperson Crispin Piri.
The South African government has taken note of the recent presidential determination by the United States. This program remains concerning and still appears to rest on a premise that is factually incorrect and a disregard for our constitutional process. The claim of a white genocide in South Africa is widely discredited and unsupported by reliable evidence. This is further evidenced by the courageous and patriotic open letter from the prominent members of the Afrikaner community, and the limited uptake of this offer by South Africans is a telling indicator of this reality.
Recapping the top story this hour, the leader of the National Coloured Congress, Fadiel Adams, says he will be laying criminal charges against the KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner, Ndandla Mkhwanazi, next week. For SFM News, I'm Jolani Tulo Wepe.
In sports this hour, Mashimbi urges Proteas women to embrace tension and final. Springboks all set for Japan and Kaizer Chiefs counting on momentum against Durban City tonight. More details at 5:30.
And this traffic report is brought to you by Auto & General Business Insurance. Auto & General, never not there. Auto & General is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's and C's online.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting off in Gauteng, the N14 in Pretoria is a crash between Euphues Road and Trichard Road, queuing traffic both ways. The M1 southbound in Johannesburg is slow moving towards Crown Interchange, and the N1 southbound in Midrand, a crash before Buccleuch Interchange. All lanes are open. In KZN, the N3 eastbound slow moving at Mariannhill Toll Plaza, the M4 southbound queuing towards the M7 highway, and the N2 northbound, a stationary vehicle before the M41 Gateway exit. In Cape Town, the M3 northbound slow moving towards Rhodes Drive, the N7 checks Haddle Drive southbound queuing towards the railway bridge, and Spine Road in Khayelitsha queuing between Jafta K Masimola Road and the N2 highway. With your traffic update, I'm Irma G.
And this traffic report was brought to you by Otto & General Business Insurance. Otto & General, never not there. Otto & General is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's and C's online.
At Auto & General, we understand your business is built on more than just vehicles. It's your stock, tools and equipment, and the premises where you work. Auto & General Business Insurance is designed for businesses like yours, protecting your assets against fire, theft, storms, and other unexpected events. To protect your livelihood, visit autogen.co.za and get an obligation-free business insurance quote. Auto & General, never not there. Auto & General is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's and C's online.
Extraordinary is built on innovation, and Vodacom Business is leading the way. They provide the cloud that scales with ambition, AI that drives smarter decisions, the IoT or the Internet of Things that connects what truly matters, and secure connectivity that keeps everything moving. From small enterprises to public sector solutions, Vodacom Business is creating a future where every connection counts. Stronger businesses, thriving communities, a nation ready to lead. So go to the website vodacombusiness.coza. Together, let's build the extraordinary. Vodacom Business, further together.
48 countries have gathered in the Middle East for the massive FIFA Under-17 World Cup Qatar 2025. It's game on everywhere. Rally behind Mzansi's Amachimbos and 9 African nations as they chase glory on the world stage. Catch the action live on SABC Plus, SABC radio stations, and SABC TV channels from 3 to 27 November 2025. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
This October month, SAFM focuses on cybersecurity awareness. As we live more of our lives online, staying safe in the digital world has never been more important. From spotting cyber threats to protecting your personal data, SAFM brings you the conversations that empower you to stay secure. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. Gender-based violence is destroying lives and tearing communities apart. It happens in homes, in schools, at workplaces, and too often in silence. But it doesn't have to continue. If you see it, speak out. If you are hurting, reach out. Because doing nothing is not an option. Listen to all 19 SABC radio stations for hard talk, discussions, advice, dramas, educational shows, and interviews around GBV with experts, survivors, lawmakers, and a whole country affected by gender-based violence. All on your favorite SABC radio station. Call 0800 428 428 to report abuse or get help. GBV, it ends with you. This message is brought to you by the SABC. The National Pulse with Ashraf Garda on SAFM. You're listening to the National Pulse, weekdays 3 to 6 p.m.
So it certainly has been a week that was very, very interesting in terms of where we are. So we don't have a fireside chat guest today, as we haven't had for a couple of weeks because of the commissions and, the ad hoc committee. And of course, as you may have heard, I'm away for the next couple of weeks to the One Young World Conference in Munich. But when I come back, we'll do so for sure. But let's stay then with what is it that made the biggest headlines of the week. No question about it, that doubleheader, the Madlanga Commission and the Parliamentary Ad Hoc Committee. So let's try and recap in terms of what were the key moments for this week only with Mike Bolhuis, Specialist Investigator into Serious Violent Economic and Cyber Crimes. Mike, appreciate you joining us on the National Pulse.
Thank you.
Thank you. So let's start with this. Firstly, maybe as a good pointer, give me your one word that best encapsulates the mood of what happened this week, firstly at the Madlanga Commission, and then another word for the Parliamentary Ad Hoc Committee.
Mm. Shocking, exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark. Revealing, exclamation mark, exclamation mark, and exclamation mark.
Okay, so shocking for Madlanga, revealing for Parliamentary Ad Hoc Committee, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, good way to start it, absolutely. Let's then talk about, let's start with the Madlanga Commission. And in terms of the shocking, what is it that so shocked you?
Well, let me rather say this is what we would say, and everybody would say, but we have been saying it now for weeks, and it's now become the narrative, and people have become used to. I wonder if anything is so revealing and so shocking anymore that their mouths would fall open, or they would, actually throw a tantrum about it, because it's like it's expected. You don't say, what else are we going to hear? More, what else is going to be revealed? You expect much more to be revealed and much more shocking information. And we must all remember this is still a proceedings that needs to complete, because these are hearings and investigations that is ongoing, and there's more to come. Personally, and well, the specialists that we deal with and my house teams are for sure knowing that there will be more people coming forward, more reveals, more shocking things. And if we look at the previous commissions, like the Zondo Commission, it's interesting to see that many of those hearings are still in serious positions in the ANC and in government. And wasn't actually really a success of the previous commissions. They didn't really fight, and they didn't really reveal a lot. They shocked a lot. But at the end, they what we want, and this is what we want. We want everything that has been stolen back, and we want those who have stolen in jail.
What interesting, you said they revealed a lot and they shocked a lot, which is really exactly the two words you use now in terms of shocking and revealing. So how do we move from shocked or shocking and revealing to what you already heard to something that is a game changer?
The game changer will be if these hearings will bring out every and anything that has been happening, let's say even from the years of Levy when he was the head of that's where things really started growing. They call it monster, and the tearing monster that we have now is so enormous that it's hurts the country, control that has everybody and anybody fear and uncertainty. There is no government. There's no government. The president is definitely not in control. He has known about this all along. I don't think he knows how to handle this. I think he's scared himself. I think many are scared. And those that did try and do good police have been interfered with, and there have been political interferences, and all of this has been coming and going, and it's just grown to a monster that is just, it's like it gets an arrow, and then it yields itself and becomes strong because there was no real aftermath of what I've said, and this is what we will bring.
Well, let's then talk. Yeah. Okay, let's talk about some specifics. And I mean, you are at liberty to use both the Madlanga Commission and the Parliamentary Ad Hoc Committee interchangeably, because I mean they do overlap, right? Meaning specifically, what were the points that were made this week, or the utterances or testimony that really got you shocked, that jumped off the page, and you can choose whichever one you want.
I didn't follow. I have a task team. So I, as the head of Specialist Investigators, Serious Violent, Economic and Cyber Crimes, task teams that's working with the investigators and police doing these investigations since Nazi stood up. And as I've said, and this shows my honesty, I have come to a point where, and we've got other work to do. because I cannot sit and just watch and watch and watch and watch. So they give me a feedback, and I'm always there, ready, willing, able, capable to assist you guys with information. But I would rather stick to what I've previously said. It's ongoing. There's a lot of it, in our opinion, that will still come forward. In Afrikaans, we would say qualities from the CFP, which roughly translated means this is the iceberg then. I think the A, B, and C and all those that are coming are being looked after and in safekeeping and in safe houses and being protected. And if that is through and proves itself to be effective, there will be many others out of parts of South Africa with corruption government and authorities have been involved and is still being involved. But in the meantime, we must carry on. We must protect and serve. We must do our work. We must assist those police that are paying up in investigations. It's a difficult situation, and as I've said, from a personal point of view, there's nothing that shocks me anymore, and I'm just expecting so much more to be revealed.
Yeah. Now, I know you said, I mean, you didn't follow everything verbatim, you didn't watch it all, but you clearly have a good synopsis. So therefore, in terms of the testimonies that passed this week, like, witness A, B, C, is there any?
You guys, radio, TV, all the news stations, etc. Is the one piece to the other. There's so much. So if one says one about the other, then somebody will else come and say something about that person. So it's a bit of a, and it's an ongoing thing, because at the end, whoever says one of each other do what Ozzy then did. He stood up and said, "This is what's going on, but I have evidence." End of the day, after all of this, the evidence of what and who has said, from Sabia to Captain to the businessmen and everybody else and the ministers, and all of them, whoever answers what and has said what is still just a he says, she says, unless there's factual proof.
Well, I want to find out from you, what do you think ought to happen next? We'll do it after this.
EFC is live this Thursday. The legend Boyd Allen returns to mount a new campaign for the title that was once his.
This man has set the world on fire.
He faces a menacing warrior, Vince Bembe, who is eager to stamp his own passport to featherweight glory.
Bembe is on his way up.
EFC 129, live from the World Sports Betting Arena. Watch it on SABC Sport Channel on DTT Channel 4 from 7 p.m. Brought to you by SABC Sport.
Think about 6 years ago, when Amapiano was just a musical instrument, when streaming meant watching water flow, not videos online, and remote work was only said when your remote batteries died. So it makes you wonder, what will the next 6 years bring? Ohino trucks now come standard with a 6-year drivetrain warranty, covering everything from pistons to gears. So although a lot can change in 6 years, our warranty promise won't. T's and C's apply. Hino, all the way.
Hi, I'm Zycard. Catch me every Saturday from 7 to 9 p.m. on Spotlight as we bring you blow-by-blow sporting action, news. That's Spotlight every Saturday. You don't want to miss it.
The National Pulse, weekdays, 3 to 6 p.m.
Okay, let's conclude the conversation with Mike Bolhuis. So, Mike, that question about, right, so once we collect all the information, who knows how long all of that's going to take, right, in terms of those testimonies, right? What would you like to see different compared to, as you said earlier on, those previous commissions that effectively hit a dead end and so annoyed the public because of their perception that nothing ever happened about them?
Well, this is the most shocking answer, because this is where we say what we mean and we mean what we say, which we always do, and we call a spade a shovel. We need the political will in this country. And I must include myself, the public, and everybody else. If the political will is not there, then nothing is going to come from this. Secondly, there must be the political ability Remember, the political will, in our opinion, hasn't been there before, because that's why all these previous commitments and investigations, everything has failed. And I mean failed. There might be small successes between overall failed. Look where we at now. We aren't protected. We aren't served by the. We do not trust the government. I speak for the public and many of the listeners, not most. We don't feel safe and secure. And the same, there must be an authority in South Africa. The SAPS must have the will to change. And secondly, the ability. Must have a policeman that can at least run 100 meters, is fit, is able, has studied the books of policing, know what fraud is, wants to protect and serve you, be the go-to guy, love and care for you, and be a stand-up pillar in the communities.
In other words,
people.
In other words, an absolute overhaul of the policing system.
But who's going to do it, my friend? Because that's the third thing I wanted to say. There must be people now that must be able to arrest afterwards. Who's going to arrest? Who's going to arrest all these generals? You see, that's the mystery of iniquity here, because now you have all this information, the hearings is done, they say, right, General so-and-so from 1 to Z, businessman so-and-so from 1 to Z, government official so-and-so from 1 to Z. Those are the ones that is guilty. These percentages, take the Lamborghinis, take the money, the rest go to jail. This is the sentence. Who is going to number 3? After the political will, if you have that, you're one way. After the will by SAPS, proper SAPS, who is going to be the proper SAPS going to enforce this?
Okay.
Because remember, you got the ANC now. You have to arrest many ANC officials.
Well, I take it as you ask the question, even you don't know the answer. Michael Bolhuis, thanks for that. Leaving it hanging in the air. Who will make the arrest? Special investigator into serious, violent, economic and cyber crimes. Thanks for your time, Michael Bolhuis. Now I'll leave it to you to comment. I mean, and here's one already. Ashraf, don't try raising our hopes. Nothing will happen. The ANC is corrupt. That's their nature. I'll take your calls after this.
Ashraf Garda on the National Pulse.
Lots of people commenting. So here's one that's interesting. Yeah.
Brother Ashraf, brother, before I go at work, I must be at work by 6 o'clock. Let me say to you, brother, I want to say it, Wally. Thank you very much to all the workers from SAA FM. Guys, you'll give us the best of the best, guys. Shows that I never listened. Since I listen to SAA FM, guys, I'm happy, guys, with every show, guys. You're coming to us with that energy. I didn't know that energy, you're taking that energy on board, guys. Thank you very much, guys. You are the best, guys, to me. And listen to the show every day, every night, every show I listen to SAFM. You'll add the best of the best, guys. From the security guy, press security guard, to the cleaners, to the management, to you guys and your colleague. You're the best, guys. Keep it up, guys. 100% SAFM. Thank you very much. Before I go to work, guys, it's Senzo from Free State. Thank you.
Hey, Senzo, you are our cheerleader, not only for this show, the National Pulse, and I'm glad you could play this now before you go to work, but also for the entire SAFM. I'll tell you what, this is very pleasing to hear. We try our hardest. I can talk about this show myself, Temba, Keys, and Busani from the digital side, and our technical teams as well. We try really hard to try and deliver for you, give you what you want. And from what I can gather, you are getting what you want, not just in this show, but others. Energy, yeah, we must have some Vuma in us. I mean, you know that too, right? Well, what about the Vuma on the continental elections?
Good day, Ashraf. It's Tony from Nelson. Actually, Ashraf, I wanted to talk about this issue that is happening in Tanzania, where the recent elections and the opposition is being cheated by Revolutionary Party. You know, it's so painful, Ashraf, in Africa. We always get the same story, same everything from these revolutionary parties. I've got an idea for these opposition parties. Why can't these opposition parties stay away from this SADC organization and form their own thing as opposition parties in Africa as a whole, so that if there is a problem, they know how to approach the situation. Because right now, these opposition parties, they always watch others back. They don't care about the people at the end of the day. They only care about their stomachs and being in power, nothing else. You see, even the African Union, it has to be reformed and look for something else that is different from African Union. Because African Union is just one and the same thing. They are in the same bed with these revolutionary parties. So it's so painful whatever is happening.
All right, I hear you about Tanzania, but what about the Cameroonian leader re-elected? And if what you're saying is right, South Africa needs reform, African Union needs reform, like everything needs reform.
Afternoon, Ashraf and Asayim, FM listeners. I'm really irritated by this Adam guy from the Colored Congress. He's really, I really feel he's annoying. Why would he want to lay charges against Kwanaze and Masamola now, only now, after the Malanga Commission? Why hasn't all this time he laid all the charges? Why did he wait until the commission and the announcement on the system? I think this guy is really against Mkwanazi. I really believe that he's one of the bad guys who does not want to see evolution or change happening in a positive way in our country. He's really out of line.
Well, I'll tell you what, why do so many political party leaders go up front, go to courts, make sure that they are seen and heard because they want to be relevant? So, for example, with Fadil Adams and the Cape Coloured Party, were we talking about them yesterday? No. Are we talking about them now? Yes. Political parties find all the parties, the big ones and the small. They find a way to stay in the news every single day. Let's get the news now. News headlines. Just gone 5:30.
Good afternoon. Making headlines, the alleged mastermind behind the mass shooting incident in Westbury in Johannesburg has been arrested today. This brings to 2 the number of suspects arrested in connection with the shooting that left 2 teenagers dead and 5 others injured last week. The leader of the National Coloured Congress, Fadil Adams, says he will be laying criminal charges against the KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi next week. And finally, the UN has called on the Tanzanian security forces to refrain from using unnecessary or disproportionate force against those protesting the disputed election results. I will have details on these and other stories at 6 o'clock.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting off in Gauteng, the N3 southbound in Germiston slow moving towards Rand Airport interchange. The N1 southbound in Randburg queuing towards Malibongwe Drive, and the N1 northbound in Pretoria, a crash before Stormfall Road. In KZN, the N3 eastbound in Ashburton has a crash and a stationary truck reported after Market Road queuing traffic. The N3 westbound queuing towards Cliffdale, and the M4 southbound queuing towards the M7 highway. In Cape Town, the N7 Jakes Hadwell Drive southbound queuing towards Railway Bridge. Victoria Road is slow moving through Camps Bay, and Marine Drive northbound in Milnerton, slow moving at Racecourse Road. With your traffic update, I'm Irma G.
This is SAFM Sports with Tuming Khapele.
Chumi, I'm disappointed in you.
Why?
Why don't you have the cricket team's top, the Protea women's top? Why are you not wearing it?
I mean,
we're playing on Sunday. And I'm not wearing it either, but we can have that debate just now. Why are you not wearing it?
I should be wearing it. Well, the Proteas woman coach Mandla Mashimbi says that his side shouldn't feel intimidated about facing India on the home soil, even though the Cricket Mad Nation is desperate for World Cup glory after their men's team fell short in the final 2 years ago. She admitted that there's a bit of nervousness in camp ahead of what is their biggest match of their lives, but says that that's actually a good thing.
Nerves are something that it's innate with us as beings. But I think what we need to do and make sure that we do is understanding that nerves are our ally, not our enemy. It's important that you actually do get the nerves because it shows that you care. But it's also embracing them and actually use that energy for good. Use that energy to elevate you use that energy to get you to perform at your best rather than to cut your legs off.
Well, the men's side of things, the Proteas are up against Pakistan right now in the second T20 of three T20s. South Africa currently on 31 for 4 after 6 overs. Pakistan are the ones that won the toss and they decided to bowl first. Reza Hendricks out for a duck. Quinton de Kock out for 7. Tony de Zorzi out for 7. And Brieska out for 5. So interesting times for the Proteas. Meanwhile, in rugby, former junior Bok captain Zachary Porton is set to become the youngest prop to start for South Africa in the professional era when the Springboks face Japan tomorrow. The 21-year-old enjoyed a rapid rise from standing out for the UCT Ikes to being a Stormers regular in the URC, and now he's set to make his Springbok debut. And coach Rassie Erasmus says that while some coaches prefer to ease youngsters in from the bench, giving Porton a start is a sign of confidence.
Sometimes getting a young guy in like that, they sometimes are fearless and just enjoy the moment. Sometimes putting them on the bench, that sometimes build up the nerves. So we'll see on Saturday if it's the right call or the wrong call. It's definitely a Japanese team that scrummed well against Australia and got 100% of their ball and only gave 1 or 2 penalties away when even Australia had the ball. So it will definitely not be an easy game for him. He's probably one of the few guys in the group that we've had this year that didn't have time to really adapt to all of our plays and the way we train and the way we maul and the way we defend and all those kind of things. A hell of a lot of information. I guess, you don't want to find that out in the last 20 minutes of the game when you have to win the game. So we just thought starting him with that solid lock pairing behind him, and obviously then have great security on the bench of guys that scrummed together in the past.
In terms of football, Kaizer Chiefs midfield Nkosi Ngobo believes that the momentum from their 3-1 win last weekend in the CAF Confederation Cup will definitely be key when they resume their Betway Premiership program tonight at the Moses Mabhida Stadium against Durban City. Chiefs have not won a league match in 4 games now, something that Ngobo is hoping that it can start to change in eThekwini as they look to close the gap from the top 3.
The season is very long, and you get different phases in the season. Like if you can check, we started very well, but then we went into a deep. So I think as a professional team, professional players, we know how to handle those situations. And now we want to take the momentum from the past weekend to make sure that now we get back into the winning ways and collect more points.
In tennis top seed, Belinda Bencic pulled out of the Hong Kong Open quarterfinals today as the Tokyo Olympic champion became the latest in a long line of players to suffer a late season injury. The Asian on the WTA tour has been particularly hard hit by injuries and pullouts in recent weeks, placing renewed scrutiny on the demanding tennis schedule. Now, Bencic, who is currently ranked 421, was supposed to who was ranked 421 in the world at the start of the season, but now has climbed up to 11, was supposed to meet Spain's Cristina Busca in the last 8 in Hong Kong. Before I leave, predictions: Ashraf, Springboks versus Japan, Springboks, Sundowns versus Pirates. I think it's going to be a draw.
Did we have a draw in studio earlier on?
No.
Wasn't a draw.
Yeah.
Was
According to them, Pirates and Sundowns won. Okay. That's what I'm saying.
So
it's going to be a draw.
That's a draw. They both won.
Exactly. And the Proteas women versus India. Proudly and loudly. South Africa.
Oh, God. Listen, I tell you what. Did you see? I mean, we had 2 great hundreds in the 2 semifinals.
Yeah.
Right? What is this lady's name? Rodriguez. I know the surname, right? Yesterday. Incredible. And the best tribute I can pay to the women's game is watching both semifinals, and I watched much of it, right? You at that point, you don't even question whether these are male players or female players. You're just seeing terrific cricket and you enjoying it all.
Absolutely.
And that tells you that this women's game is going to be taken very seriously.
And that's what we want,
the crowd
right?
was massive.
That's what we
What a
want.
crowd,
So
yeah.
that people should forget that it's women or men. Just come and watch the beautiful game of cricket. And that's one thing that's going to be on center stage on Sunday. South Africa versus India. I can't wait for it. On that note, it is a wrap from my side. Ke nna Tumi Nkgapele, Modimo ke yo.
Okay, perfect.
This summer, the continent unites for the biggest football showdown in Africa. The Total Energies Africa Cup of Nations Morocco 2025 is coming to your screens, live and available on SABC TV channels, SABC Sport, SABC Plus, and across your favorite SABC radio stations. Catch all 52 thrilling matches, stand behind Bafana Bafana, and experience every goal, every cheer, and every victory from 21 December 2025 to 18 January 2026. SABC Sport brings you all the AFCON 2025 action, live and free, because it's game on everywhere.
For the love of the game.
So you thought you were building a business in this economy, but day by day, somehow it grew. You kept going when the freezer didn't freeze, the bucket didn't budge, and the bank balance barely blinked. So you thought you were building a business. You weren't. It was building you. Because this isn't just what you do anymore. It's who you are. And you don't trust just anybody to protect it. Chat to your broker about Old Mutual Insure Business Insurance. Protect what built you. Old Mutual Insure Limited is a licensed FSP and non-life insurer.
Hi, I'm Khomotso KG Mweketi, and I believe in music's ability to connect, to heal, to remind, and to bring joy. And each week on my Saturday and Sunday show Seasons, right here on SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide, I endeavor to do just that. So join the movement of Seasons every Saturday and Sunday, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's addictive. You might invite a friend. Seasons, only on SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide, with me, KG Mweketi.
Economic news on SAFM. Facts and figures you can count on.
And as always, it's Jimmy Moyaha, the last facts and figures for the week, Jimmy.
Ashraf, good afternoon to the listeners. We're closing out the week in some interesting territory. I'd say we are okay considering all the events that have happened this week. We've got an interest rate cut from the US. We've got Japanese data in the form of CPI data and Eurozone CPI data came out today. Markets digesting this, seemingly handling it rather well. If we look at the currency side of things, let's perhaps start there. The rand against the dollar, 17 rand 34, about a third of a percent weaker against the dollar there. But we are below 23 rand against British pound at 22 rand 77, and we're just flirting with 19 rand 99 against the euro, reaching above 20 rand every now and then. One Australian dollar at the moment is around 11 rand 35. So the rand, all in all, holding its ground. Still quite impressive against the dollar given all that has happened there. Bitcoin price is still $110,000 there. Bitcoin, not much of a movement there. If we look at the international markets and international indices, they were by and large in the red. Again, the Nikkei in Tokyo, the only market in Asian markets finishing in the green, up 2.1%. European markets were all in the red, no exceptions there. The DAX is 0.6% down. FTSE very close to 0.59% down, almost the same there. And if we look at local markets, the industrials sector was down about 0.85%, financials down 0.25%, and the only positive sector was the resources sector, up almost 0.1%. But the all share finished down 0.39%, the top 40 down 0.4%. If we look at the commodity prices, the gold price is still holding about $4,000 an ounce at the moment. Pretty much flat from where we left it yesterday, $4,020 a fine ounce. Brent crude, $65.17 a barrel. Platinum pricing is a little weaker, at 1,593. Palladium, 1,481. And the U.S. market at the moment, only markets that will be trading into the evening. The Nasdaq is up about 1.2%. The S&P 2/3. I think it's important that we are trading at relatively all-time highs on most markets. As we wrap the month, so that officially the last trading day of October, it means then that we are closing out the month positive territory of almost all fronts. We kick off the month of November with a lot more data that come is sort of the tail end of the year, final full month. December is usually a shorter month. Just going into next week, we'll hold that. We're still in positive territory. We're still near all-time highs at markets. So despite some of what has been happening in terms of data and the geopolitical went the weekend on a positive note. We'll be back on Monday. Thank you, Ashraf.
Oh, perfect. Thanks for that. You enjoyed. Have a fabulous weekend, Jimmy Moyaha.
SAFM supports a litter-free South Africa. Play your part in keeping our surroundings and environment clean. SAFM, leading the conversation.
This season, make Christmas magic together with Spar and Super Savings. Like 2-liter Coca-Cola Original, buy 2 for 44 Rand, plus 100 megs free data on Spar Mobile. Or 900 gram Bacoma Wheat Bix Original only, and 1 kg cornflakes. Buy both for 99 Rand, plus 250 megs free data on Spar Mobile. Price is valid 21 October to 9 November 2025, while stocks last. T's and C's apply.
It all starts with FNB Private. With secure, easy payments for a hassle-free overseas holiday. Tap, swipe, or go digital with your FNB Visa cards. Earn rewards when using your FNB credit card or global account debit and virtual card. You can even fund your global account on the FNB app while traveling. Make the most of every moment. Unlock invaluable with FNB Private. Help changes everything. FNB, a division of First Rand Bank Limited, an authorized FSP and credit provider. TCs earn rules and limits apply.
Hi, my name is Kutlwana Masote, your host of Weekend Sundowner Classics every Saturday and Sunday afternoon between the hours of 4 and 7 p.m. exclusively on SAFM. Now, this is where you get your best classical music jams on any radio platform. Join me every Saturday and Sunday afternoon between 4 and 7 p.m. Weekend Sundowner Classics.
You're listening to the National Pulse on SAFM. SAFM.
And I need to be listening to you because you are also connected to the Pulse. So how do you connect? Call in live 086 000 2032. We're going to touch on that South Africa-India game. I mean, it's a World Cup final. Come on, guys. That's the one. Back home, it's Orlando Pirates, Sundowns. The issue of Tanzania, Cameroon's president. Then, we've had the adjournment at the moment of the Madlanga Commission, as well as the ad hoc parliamentary committee. Just what do you make of this? Just this week, then last week this time, Francesca Albanese. A lot has happened since then in terms of some of her pronouncements, and then the point I made earlier with Dr. T. Tlaleng, effectively that issue from the medical council, I must get the full name, but in terms of they ruling against it, just you listen to that conversation with Kathy. There's so much to pick up on that. Lots of people do want to comment about Fadil Adams.
Good afternoon, Ashraf. Ellen Muripi and Ranchaville. You know that Adams, he sounds like those people who always complain, at the supermarkets for bad service, for bad customer service. They always complain. We know them. He's doing exactly the same. This guy, hey, yeah. And I think for me, I think he with Mkwanas, I think the charges that he's going to lay, he's not gonna win it. He's fighting a lost battle.
Okay, fighting a losing battle. I get your point about those complainers. I'm not saying he is, but when people go to a football match and it's empty stadiums, like why would I want to go? It's no atmosphere. It's empty. They complain, and then when it's full, it's like it's too full. Okay, got that.
Ashraf Joe from Durban. It may be a thought to bring on some expert on when there's going to be, if there can be a change in legislation regarding the question of full pay during suspension. I mean, we've had the Judge Motlana case, we've had so many in different, not just the police, all over the place, where people have been put on suspension and full pay for months, even years on end. And I think that is the first place to start looking at legislation and clawback if they're found guilty of assets, etc., in lieu of the salaries they receive from the date of suspension once they've been found guilty, or even suspension without pay should be the norm. I think maybe it'll help to get a guest who specializes on this and tells us what this is.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's been touched on before in terms of when you have suspension with pay, without pay, legal strike, illegal strike, for example. How many people, unions clearly not going to agree with you on that one, but I take your point.
Good afternoon, Ashraf. Skumuzo Mpangazi from Moy River. You know, I was so shocked and disappointed when I heard about the president of Cameroon and the president of Cote d'Ivoire. At their age, they are still willing to lead the country. No, man, I think it's unfair. It's very unfair. Skumuzo Mpangazi from Moy River.
You must wonder, and I think it's a fair question, what is their motivation? Seriously, at this time of their lives, what is it that motivates them to want to be the leader of their country now, in their 90s? Nocha. Why? Call in. You can call live. Now I'll take your calls 086 000 2032, and wherever you are, ladies, males, wherever, young, old, I want to hear what you have to say. Maybe and if you want to raise the flag, because I haven't heard anybody from Pretoria for a long time. Have I? Have I missed something? I mean, come on, keep your town on the map here, man. Here's one.
A very good afternoon to you, Ashraf Gada. Today, during the closing session of Limpopo Investment Conference held in Polokwane, the Premier, Dr. Poppy Ramathuba, announced 170 billion in investment in accelerating economic development across the province. I'm very much happy, very much happy as a Limpopian, Sotisignolo in Mafefe.
A Limpopian. Never heard that before.
Ashraf is Webster here on a quick note. I hear one of our colleagues from the listeners saying who's going to arrest these generals if the generals are all implicated. Man, let me tell him, we have military police. We can even disband all this police team and bring the military police for time being. Recruit must be done. Do away with those criminalities, criminal motives. Webster.
Thank you for that, Webster. Webster, of course, referring to the guest that we had earlier on about who will do the arresting. Calling the military. All right, Castro in Davidson, hello. Castro, hi.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Go for it, Castro.
Yes. Ashraf, I'm protected by the last speaker to comment. Terrible.
Okay.
Madlanga Commission and all the inquiries as a result of press by the police exposed the hardcore part of the underworld. Why is the colored community colored president? What is in Adams?
Yeah.
What does it have to do with the case of Peggy because Peggy did not open any criminal case. I think the issue of Peggy can open it. Why is so passionate about fighting Kona? Since the days of PK, this guy has been on the campaign trying to illegalize the PKP. But look what the as a result of the PKP. Really something that is set off, and he can't stand the presence of Mukona and the National Commissioner.
You think he's scared? So you think he's scared? I was wondering whether he's just trying to be relevant, as many of these political party leaders do.
You know, Ashraf, there are people when they okay, there's a friend,
okay,
because he knows, he knows all those things that he's good cop. We have very few good cops there, and we can hear from them.
Okay.
from witness to witness C, the PKC, also Ken, Wanda, and all those people that are disciplined. Indeed, these people meant it.
Okay.
So when they say they want to fight,
All right.
why is so easy?
Okay. Well, you've put that question in the air. I mean, who's got the answer? They can tell us. Castro, thanks for that. By the way, do you have I mean, are you that person, or do you have a family member who's a cop, like township community cop? If so, I mean, you don't have to give names. I'd love to know what they feel about their jobs. Remember that story about used car salesmen and the perception? That's changed a little bit with cops. It's not a good thing. And I hope we can change what has changed. But do you know someone in your, family, community that you know well that's a cop? And what's it like? How do they feel about being cops? Joanne in Tekwini. Hello, Joanne.
Yes, hello, Ashraf. How are you?
I'm good indeed. Thank you. Go
You
for
must
it.
be pleased it's week.
Well, listen, I normally am, but I never think about, thank God it's Friday, because I just think, and I've said this before, if you have a purpose in life, then there's no Blue Monday. You just,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Well, Ashraf, this is a subject that I have had in my head for many, many years for a variety of reasons. All these young people, boys and girls, who are writing the trick at them in the last few years, are writing now, will write in the future. There seems to be this incredible push. Oh, I must go to university to get a degree. So right off they go, their parents expense, they get a degree, and then what? There's so little work for them. But, and it's a huge but, if any of them thought, or their parents thought, hang on a minute, if you were a plumber or you were an electrician, you would have work for life. You would never look for work anywhere. And I wonder if there's a bit of a stigma attached. Oh no, plumbers are not very nice. Oh no, electricians are a bit kind of not so good. But the truth is that the plumbers and electricians and workers in this country make a living. It's a fact. I used to say to my children and grandchildren long ago, when you get to leaving school, give the public what they need, not what they want. And there's a vast difference between the two.
Well, I mean,
And
I hear you. Yeah.
Yeah. And I just think that more and more parents could be thoughtful about their children's future as far as making an income for life, literally. Things could be very different. And I feel for all these kids who have various degrees, and I think the same thing. No, because that's the truth of the matter.
Okay, got that. I think, listen, many people would concur with you. You need to be able to get people to be taught to meet the needs of society. And that's very important. Joanne, thank you for that. Right, to Mama Bolo in Polokwane. Let's talk about the cops. Hello.
Yeah. How are you? How are you?
I'm very good indeed. I hope you
I'm
are.
fine. I'm correct. I was so disgusted today, Ashraf. I went to this caravan the police use on the road to certify papers for people at the ranks. There are such caravans that they use. I went there today to certify some few papers. The guy who was in front of me, I'm an old man of about more than 70. The guy who was in front of me, harassed and harangued the policeman, telling the police, it's not a man, a lady is on top of that, telling her, you are thieves, you are all this issue. You didn't, so I was so displeased with the guy. I didn't know what to do.
Okay. Well, sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was shocking. It was shocking. This time we were heading towards the 16 days of activism. When it comes that period, people seem to be going, local somehow.
Yeah, look, I'm so sorry about that. I mean, and it does happen far too often. You need like a whole culture switch that changes from where we are to where you want to be. Mama Bolo, thank you for that. Let's talk about plumbing. John in Davidson, hello.
Hello, Ashraf.
Yeah, how's it, man?
Ashraf, to be realistic, then the fellow who said he must be blind, he must be an electrician. Let me tell you something. South Africans really are African. Even the municipality, when they want to plumber an electrician, they go for foreigners because they cheap and they can abuse them. All white people, and I'm not being, most white people prefer foreigners to do their plumbing and electricity. South Africans are in danger.
How do you do that? Did you do a vote?
Yeah?
You said most. How did you do like a poll?
No. I'm self-employed. I'm a got plumbing and electrical company. When you're South African, they don't want you. Period.
Okay. I hear what you're saying, John. Thanks for that integrity. Yeah, quickly.
Before I leave, can I say something?
Yeah.
What is your take on it? What is real and what is your take on it?
Sorry, I can't, but I have to leave, John. I can't hear clearly what you're saying, but there's a minute to go to the show. We need to end up now. Thank you for that, right? I'm not too sure what this means. Hi, Ashraf, SF, and what debate happened now? Heard about a question that was asked. I don't want to have smaller classes. My answer, I must accommodate. I'm not too sure what that happened there. No, I'm really not clear about that at all. Sorry for that. Maybe just time for one or two. Yeah, here's one about informal traders.
Hi, Ashraf. Kenny here. Ashraf, are you surprised about the Dublin game? We had a guy this morning on SAFM which told us, I think it's from the informal vendors in Joburg.
Yeah.
Who's representing them as they taking the municipal or the city to court.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy emphasized on going against the city for doing the right thing, for cleaning up the city. He's defending lawlessness. Like, I just don't get it. It bothers my mind to understand, like, how do you even start to do that?
Well, I mean, I hear that.
So much to
Okay,
clean up
I'm
the
gonna.
cities,
Yeah.
to get our country back on track, but there's just a bunch of people who keep on like, taking us back. We
Okay,
take first
maybe
step
it's another,
forward and
and
they
it's a
take us
longer
back
debate
10
we need to
steps
have.
back.
Going to leave it at that because it's time to close the show. You know, that debate about, you know, economic rights as in Seri and what they push for versus fixing up things, but making sure that people don't lose their positions versus cleanliness on the other side. Think about that. Well, look, that's the show today. Thanks for listening in. I did tell you, let me remind you, I'll be away for 2 weeks, off to Munich and then to Paris for the One Young World Summit firstly. I mean, that's really the reason I'm going to moderate events there, and I've probably got lots of stories to tell you, but you have stories to tell me when I come back as well, and I look forward to that. In the meantime, be safe and enjoy. It's the weekend, of course. Here's the news at 6.